ice. Keep that.
Someone stop typing in the background. No.
I'm sorry.
I know
That
we're
is
live.
me.
I know we're live. Welcome in, everyone, to the late night edition of After Dark here on the Voice of College Football. First and foremost, again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button. If it's your first time seeing this show, whether it's live and or later on, consider subscribing, as Mark has a network of channels, different teams, as well as the SEC channel and the Big Ten channel. So if you're a fan of college football, your team is going to get covered on this channel. And we've got our normal panel of degenerates over here, football junkies, starting with the USC man, of course, Tim Prangley. How you doing, Tim?
Doing great. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
Then we've got the bandwagon Alabama fan in Jackson next to him. How you doing, Jackson?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Ben? Is it just me, or did I see an NCAA football video game when I saw Oregon's final score?
It could have possibly been that, but it was Portland State. But we can talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, it was got a little out of control pretty quickly. And tonight we have two Alabama fans. Hunter, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Well, all of a sudden, the Alabama fans came out of the woodwork after that. The slacking of
Middle Tennessee State.
Oh man, same with some of the Michigan, man. The big win over ECU, man, that was big.
Yeah, I was like, and Michigan didn't have to hide himself.
We'll take it.
Now, if he had lost to East Carolina, he would not be on the show right now.
That's true.
He
You
would
wouldn't see me the rest of
not have been
the
here
probably
tonight.
wouldn't see me the rest of the year.
I probably wouldn't show up either. I would be like, you know what, next season.
Mhm.
So we got a lot to talk about. And one, it's been almost a great week one of football. You know, pretty much typical what you expect, a lot of blowouts, a couple close games for the conferences, all that stuff. And then we have the doubted Colorado Buffaloes, arguably the worst Power 5 team last season, taking on the runner-up to the national title last year, regardless of the score. They were a dog 3 touchdowns, I believe. Coach
Oh man, they
finally
were a
flipped.
21 point. They were a 21-point underdog. That was fantastic. The fact that they played like that against the defending runner-ups.
And Coach
And all
Prime
quality.
flipped, I think, 60 to 80% of that roster in Colorado.
Oh, man.
And if you bet Colorado to win in that game, you made a lot of money. You made a lot of money, I'm sure.
I did not have Colorado winning that game, unfortunately, but a friend of mine, Sports Talk with Austin, told me all off season that Colorado was going to bring it. They were going to be awesome. I was like, yeah, Coach Prime's going to be awesome, but I don't think they're going to get it done against the national runner-ups. But
See, I thought they would. I thought they would cover. I thought they'd lose by about 10 to 14, which would still be pretty respectable on the road. In your first game, that'd be pretty respectable, nothing major. And Deion said, you know what, all you pundits, screw you.
Oh, yeah.
Basically.
I mean,
I didn't watch the game. I didn't get to watch the game, but I thought that it would take a couple games for them to get to where they want to be. I didn't expect them to win that game at all.
Oh man, I'm going over some of the stats, right, from Shador Sanders. School record. He broke the school record with 510 passing yards. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And 4 touchdowns, 38 out of 47 completed passes. That's some great stat lines right there.
Which is amazing stat line, one, because he was extremely accurate too. So it wasn't like that. Then you have to start questioning, like, okay, TCU's offense is decent at least, or both of those defenses just terrible. He should not be throwing for 500+ yards in a game. But
yeah, but still though, like TCU's defense was way worse. I got a feeling they're going to have a problem in the season ahead. I mean, it's just. But I will say, though, I got a feeling Nebraska is going to need a lot of luck next Saturday on big noon kickoff against Colorado.
Oh, that game was like watching Iowa versus Iowa. As someone put it earlier on the air. That was terrible to watch. I didn't watch
Minnesota,
it.
Nebraska.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Thank God.
Yeah, but I will say that touchdown by Johnson. But that game time touchdown by Johnson at Minnesota. Holy cow, man. What did you think about it, Ben? Ben, the Michigan man.
I'm sorry. You were talking about the what touchdown?
Johnson, the touchdown by Johnson at Minnesota where he scored the game time touchdown.
That grab?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. There was two awesome grabs in that game. That was one, and then there was I think it was a tight end for Nebraska that pulled in a one-hander. That was amazing too. But yeah, that was a good catch.
Oh man, that
was cool. I really like that game. I enjoyed it. I'm used to watching more low scoring games, and I called games that they play defense.
Oh man, like personally, low scoring games are as awesome as high scoring games for me.
Yeah,
any game that's a good game is an awesome game, especially like Nebraska Minnesota Thursday night. But I will say though, the curse in one score games continues for Nebraska.
Said like an SEC fan. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. Those are snooze fests, okay? If you get less than 2 touchdowns, your team, what are you doing on the field? Did you guys practice this week?
Right.
No,
Iowa scored 24 points this weekend.
Nobody's defense is that good. You should put him at least 2. If you're a college football team, you should put him at least at the minimum 2 touchdowns. I'm sorry. Single digit scores are not exciting. It's almost like they roll the football out there for a pickup game. I'm sorry. That shouldn't happen. I'm just gonna say that. Sorry, Jackson.
And speaking of Colorado,
okay,
because
we all have our opinions.
Yeah, and speaking of Colorado, though, again, too, Tim, you and I both have to play Colorado, and I think this changed the perception of this team around a little bit. I mean, at least offensively, I think kind of changed the perception a little bit.
Well, they're gonna have to decide if Travis Hunter's gonna play both ways, because here's one thing: you can't sustain 141 reps. It's not gonna. It's just you can't do that over a 12 game regular season, as well as that was at sea level. I want to see him pull that off. I want him to get over 120, 130 reps at altitude when they play up in Boulder, because I don't think that's humanly possible. I don't think it is, and just the wear and tear on that guy. He is an incredible athlete, but I think once they start seeing, I mean, did you see this? I wasn't impressed with the front seven for TCU at all. I mean, it seemed like Colorado. It doesn't have exactly road graders up front. We're just having their way with that front seven, and I think when they start playing, once they get into the Pac-12 conference, they play USC or Oregon. I don't see that being the same situation. Period. I just don't.
They started with us at Autzen, so but now that they've had to. With this game, they put a lot on film too, because they were in a shootout, so they had to put a lot on film. They couldn't just stay vanilla and not show anything either. So,
and I'm not wishing injury, and I wouldn't wish injury on any team. But I mean, how often do you see a team stay healthy the entire year? They have some. They showed out. They showed some guys that were there. That the small receiver they had as well, not just Hunter. There's also the. Who's the other guy? I'm sorry. They start with an H. The junior guy. They got like 3 really good wide. They don't need Travis Hunter. I mean, they have 3 really good receivers. So that was impressive. I was a bit shocked with how well they showed out. But I just think over
Horn
the course
Jr.
of the season,
Are you talking about Jimmy Horn Jr.?
that's the guy. Yeah, that guy played very well yesterday. And but I don't know.
Oh
if
man, he was a baller. Man, he was a ball. It was a ballroom blitz.
So I'll be interested to see how healthy they can stay, especially when they have guys. There's no depth. USC ran this last year. They had pretty good players up, for their front. They're starters. But then as soon as you lose a lineman or two on offense, as soon as you lose, maybe a tackle or they lose, God forbid they lose Travis Hunter for him. It seemed like he was half their team. Once these injuries start piling up, it's going to be hard for that team. But I will say they came out of that game from the opening kickoff, and they were physical. They were flying to the ball. They were playing great defense. The things that have been missing in Boulder for a long time. So, I was a bit skeptical about what was going to happen in Boulder with Coach Prime, but I'm saying right now I'm pretty impressed.
Let me ask you this: I didn't see the game, so was it that their offense was that prolific, or was TCU's defense just very bad?
I think it's a mixture. Yeah, it's hard to tell from one game if whose defense was really bad or both offenses just that good.
Because I don't know what TCU lost on the defensive side of the ball, from last year. So it could be that that they lost some starters on defense, and their defense wasn't as good as it was last year.
Well, they had a decent defense in conference, but when they got out of conference, they kind of gave a lot of yards and a lot of points. Just look at what they did in the playoffs. But
and I mean, again, too, they've been planning to play each other for the whole off season, basically. So that does give each team a little more time to prepare, because they just looked at Deion's film from Jackson State and was like, hey, okay, this is what they kind of like to do, so they could get a feel for it. Same as Sonny Dykes.
Well, I mean, I'm not hating at all. I'm just curious to see if they can sustain this.
That's my question.
Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see, because they have to have Nebraska, and then I think they have I'm pretty sure a cupcake, and then they have to go to Autzen.
Colorado State is the cupcake.
Oh, Colorado State, and then they have to go to Autzen, and then again they still have to. But I will say the win total though was projected 3.5 wins, and I said I think I could see 4. Well, I think that number just jumped potentially to 5 or 6.
Double what I thought. I'm thinking it's going from. I thought they win 3 games. I think they win 6 games. I think they go 6-6 now.
I think
they can do a lot better than that, but I guess we'll wait and see.
And you need to be surprised too. You have to watch the rest of the pack too, and see that a lot of the teams, surprisingly, offensively, have improved dramatically. I was surprised by some of the scores I saw. I was like, really? Okay. I mean, so we'll see. We're going to get into conference play here in a couple of weeks. And
well, you guys, they play at Utah. And then they also play at they play. Oh no, they're at home. They're home for the Beavers. They're at UCLA, who looked pretty rough yesterday. But I mean, the rest of their schedule besides SC and so they have SC, Oregon State, and Utah. That's a tough 4, But the way they played, again, if they can sustain how they played yesterday, it's hard to tell, because we don't know what TCU had there. It'll be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks what they can do.
I'm going to be honest. I have not been. I'm kind of tired of the Coach Prime hype and all that, and I was hoping that TCU would blow their doors off, just because I was kind of tired of hearing about it. And then they win, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be hearing about this the rest of the football season. And maybe it'll be better off this way, though, that now it's like this huge thing, and maybe they'll perform, and it will be a huge thing. But I'm hoping that somebody like, when they come and play against like Oregon will expose them as being a 6-6 team at best. And they'll settle people down, and don't have to. Still an impressive what he's done there. I don't want to take anything away. I don't really care about it. I don't think they're any kind of championship team yet, so it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh no, we're not calling that they're going to all of a sudden win the Pac-12 or something like that. They still have to go through.
Basically, what you're saying, Ben, is you don't want to put the cart in before the horse, right?
So LFG is in the chat again, saying all the CU haters are revising the Buffs win total up. So yeah, everyone is, because they had 80 guys come in, or whatever the number they decided to pull the brand new team out of the portal.
Something ridiculous, yeah.
And they aren't a deep team, LFG. So they're a couple injuries away of really going on a tailspin. So you can't assume who's going to get hurt. But I've never seen a college football team go through a season without significant injuries and loss. So once those injuries start piling up, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. The good news is at the end of their schedule, they have a nice little run of they have Arizona and Washington State, 2 games I thought they would win, and now it's most likely to win. But they do have Oregon State at home, and Oregon State, just like Utah, is a little bit different team on the road. But unfortunately, they've got Utah at Rice Eccles at the end of the season, and I'm just telling you, that Utah team, they looked well, they looked good. So did Utah, and that was Utah without Brent Keefe, and that was also without
Cam Rising,
and another guy. Anyway, so it's gonna be a whole different story at the end of the season when they're playing head to head.
There was, and I want to defend too. Is most people have the 3.5 wins. I was one of the few people that said I could see 4, but now I do have to say I could now see it being 6. So it's not readjusting necessarily. It's just having more confidence now against them going against some of the lower Pac-12 teams too.
Well, here's another element.
It's not just Colorado, you guys. It's not just Colorado. I'm readjusting their schedule. Not just I think they're world beaters. I don't think they're world beaters. I think they're better than I thought they were, but not incredibly better than I thought they were. I'm looking at that. Nebraska didn't impress me too much. I thought Nebraska might be a little better in year 1 rule, right? I thought that UCLA would be better than I saw. And it's a little bit reactionary. I mean, we'll see. That was just week 1. And then once they got more in there, they look like a totally different team. So we'll see how they improve and impress. But I'm adjusting it, not just based on Colorado. I'm adjusting on the teams I saw in the first couple of weeks here now and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe the Murderers Row, because I thought TCU was going to be a team. Oh, no, that's a win. And quite frankly, just like the people that gave them a 21-point favorite. I mean, it's not like I was on a limb saying that I thought they were going to get smoked by them. Everyone thought they were going to get smoked except for McAfee. He actually called that stuff on game day. So that was pretty impressive. Sorry, Hunter, what were you saying?
You got a couple people jumping in here, but I want to address a couple things going on here in the super chat world. Let's start here. I want to give a shout out to T. Higgins is a badass. TCU, Baylor, and Texas fans collectively talk so much shit about SMU this week. At least I could shut it. Enjoy those L's and tears in your haterade. That is true. Those were Baylor and Texas Tech especially. Those were not good losses. Colorado might surprise. Those were bad.
Texas Tech, man, they were looking ahead to Oregon, and the Baylor Bare Necessities were looking ahead to Utah, man. That was not good. But I will say the only Texas teams in the Big 12 that did have a good day were Texas and Houston. So there was that.
Hey, I'm calling it now. FSU will be ranked number 1 after they beat Clemson.
Whoa.
Well,
I think it's a bit bold.
That's not bold, bro. They would have beat the number 5 team, and they would have beat what's Clemson ranked. Yeah,
but you have to remember, there's that SEC bias. Sorry to the Alabama fan in the corner.
Oh, you don't think FSU, who started at 8, beats the number 5 team, and then beats I don't even know where Clemson. Where's Clemson ranked? And then let's say they blows the doors off Clemson.
9 right now.
9.
Yeah, let's say they blow the doors off Clemson too. After they blew the doors off the number 5 team, you don't think they'll be ranked number 1?
Well, I think they should be. I think they should be.
They're not going to jump straight to number 1. No, I mean, because there's still votes. You don't think Georgia's be getting votes?
Georgia gonna get votes, but let's be real.
If Clemson loses to Duke tomorrow, then
that's a good point. That's a good point. But I'm saying if Clemson looks the part, they go into that game undefeated, and then FSU, because let's be real, FSU had the best performance of the week so far, hands down.
Well, and to real quickly while we're on the matter of super chats here, because Brian Laguerre, hope I said that correctly, Laguerre, I'm going to assume. How can I come on the panel? Well, that brings us to a great point here. If you want to, down in the description of the video, as well as right here on the banner now scrolling, you just join the Discord. You join Mark on patreon.com. It's $5 a month. You get access to the Discord, which has 365 days a year, 24/7 college football talk with all of us idiots that have nothing better to do with our lives, apparently, than talk college football, even during the off season. And it's a fun time. We have watch parties. We have after parties. We just talk smack all the time, you know.
It's Is Mark still
So-
doing it for the YouTube members now as well?
That's a good point. Let me double check that.
Hey,
I think he had to send them the email for the link.
That's
For
a
you.
good question.
I wasn't sure if he was still doing it because I didn't know how if that was extra.
Hey, I'm on the Patreon. Where's the link for that? Because I'm on the Patreon. Where do I go for that link?
What I would do is in the description there should be an email from Mark, I believe. I don't have it pulled up right this second. Maybe Tim, can you confirm for me?
Actually, you guys, we could probably discuss it after the show, Ben, because I don't think everyone else wants to hear us talk about that stuff.
Okay.
That's true. Good point.
Okay, word.
But that's how Brian. That's the simplest one. Go to Patreon, sign up, and then you get a direct email from Mark, and we'll discuss that with you here later about the Discord link. But we appreciate the super chats from both of you because it helps Mark out a lot, and it's all good interaction. That helps pull up your highlights. So,
if you like top-notch post-game shows such as these, click on the Patreon and click on the YouTube members notification.
I don't see how.
He makes a good point. T. Higgins here is a badass. Makes a good point. FSU hasn't beaten Clemson since 2014.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Clemson is vastly underrated.
I don't see how they're underrated when they've won 10 games the last, how many seasons in a row have they won 10 plus games? I mean, how is that underrated?
I wonder what do you mean by vastly?
It's been vastly, maybe not. It's been quiet, kind of like last year was pretty a quiet season because it lacked the expectations.
Most teams will be killing for a 10-win season.
Oh yeah,
I think you might be speaking to just a national the national perception. So Clemson was challenging and beating the best teams in the country and winning national championships, and they struggled the last couple of years to be at that level. They're still winning 10 games a season, but they're not being spoken of as one of the best teams in the country. Wouldn't you agree, or do you disagree with that?
I mean, I agree. I mean, just because there's been a little bit of drop off, but
yeah.
I mean, but 10 wins is a good season. I mean, they've had a couple. I mean, hell, Alabama's had a couple of seasons where we haven't, won championships. But I don't think anybody's automatically dismissing Alabama as a national title contender.
No, but you're an Alabama fan, so you've seen the headlines, right? Saban's lost his stuff. It's all about Kirby now. Blah blah blah. It's what college fans do, and it's what people want to hear. So they put stories out
it's
there like
a big overreaction.
And they have been
Well, it's what you've done for me lately.
There's been a message with Clemson where basically they're saying, that they're burying them. You hear all the time. They're an afterthought. How often do you hear about Clemson when you talk about the national championship?
I've always had them. Even the last two seasons, I've had them, in the group of teams that could possibly win the championship.
No, I'm not saying that either. I think that they had a great defense last year. I think they got a solid team this year. I think they could be in the conversation. I'm saying the national perception, and I think that's what T's speaking to.
But
there's only five teams that could possibly win the national championship.
There's more than that, Ben.
We've gone over this.
We have who? You and the Michigan fans, right?
No.
By the way, Ben, you guys got to it's a little bit more wide than 5. I would think they could actually win it.
I agree. I'm
likely to win it. That's a different story.
I'm bringing up a discussion we had earlier.
I think the comment that made the most sense to a degree is, what have you done lately? Well, Clemson hasn't been getting there, but now like the Pac-12. Before it was like Oregon. Now USC's in the talk. Washington's in the talk. Hell, even Oregon State's getting dark horse stuff potentially because they had a really good season. It's relevant to now. A 10-win season is a really good season by all means for most teams. But, Clemson has their expectations a lot higher.
Well, let me ask this. If Florida State beats Clemson, do you think that puts them out of the contention for the national championship?
No, we lost Austin. If Florida State beats Clemson, does that take them out?
Because who else? After that, they really don't have that many teams that are. They got a pretty good cupcake schedule.
Are they on the same side of their conference?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh yeah, that'd be tough.
I think you have to look at how bad they blow teams out, kind of like 2013 Florida State. when they won the Natty, and they blew everyone out.
It depends. There's a lot that could happen. I mean, like, let's say Notre Dame beats Ohio State, and then they go and
They will
beat
beat Ohio State. They're
You know,
going to beat Ohio State.
But I'm just talking
Just
about
saying.
from a strength of schedule perspective.
Well,
You know,
who asked the question if Florida State beats Clemson? Is Clemson out
That
of
was
the
me.
national? Okay, go blue. If Clemson loses to Florida State, they are not out. All Clemson has to do is win out, and all they got to do is win the ACC.
But wouldn't that make it tough?
Huh?
Wouldn't that make it tough if they're on the same side? Because now they got to count on Florida State to lose, don't they?
No, they don't, because we don't go by the divisions. It's been that way.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is the
So
first
wait,
season.
so- I get what you're saying. It's what the Big Ten's about to do. I got you.
Yeah, because they take the two best teams now. We can have a Florida State, Clemson, ACC.
Oh yeah, then
title
Clemson
game.
can make it. If Clemson comes back and avenges that loss, then for sure.
Yes.
But if they lose another conference game, or if they lose to Notre Dame, they're out of the national running.
Well, they'd have to probably play Florida State again.
Yeah.
But with 2 losses, then I think they'd be out. Unless depending on what happens with the conference. Who knew Clemson talk immediately would take over the whole show? I did not suspect that tonight. That was amazing. But T. Higgins also, Clemson will win the Natty in 2023. And that's why. Because you're being underrated, so they got some fighting. All right. So maybe
I
feel
like the confidence.
disrespected. Yeah, maybe feel disrespected. Okay. We're going to have to see. The season is young. Clemson hasn't even played. They have to still play Duke tomorrow. So get past Duke first.
Duke's better than most people think they are.
Yeah, Mike Elko's done a pretty good job in his first year. But this year's schedule's a little tougher.
Yeah, last year's was kind of weak for Duke.
In
retrospect of when you look at the other teams, but I mean, still not bad for.
I mean, I'm still picking
year.
Clemson to win the game, but I think that they can produce some problems for Clemson.
Well, here you go, because this one, you guys are going to run wild with this, especially Bama fans and all you ACC people.
Todd Gwynn has said, "Don't forget about the Gamecocks against Clemson." I'm not forgetting them. I just believe Clemson can get it done this year. They got revenge on their minds.
Let's not forget, we just had a game end not that long ago, and it was the mighty LSU Tigers against the mighty Florida State Seminoles. And
I'm sorry.
This game went a little bit sideways from what most people thought it would be.
Yeah, I kind of find it hard to believe that we're talking about Clemson, how they're gonna win how they're gonna win the ACC when we just watched Florida State blow out LSU.
Yeah, no, Florida State's gonna win it.
One thing you got to say, so everyone's jumping on this idea. That's the stupid part about preseason rankings, you guys. I mean, Jaden Daniels is the quarterback there. We saw Jaden Daniels throw that interception. We don't know. We don't know how good LSU is. We've been hearing so much, and I actually started buying the hype on how good LSU is. Everyone gets all hyped up. Ooh, LSU. Maybe LSU isn't that good this year.
Well, they lost a lot of their secondary.
We'll let 4 or 5 games play out. We'll see how well LSU plays. And if LSU is kicking ass, if they go into their conference play and they're beating teams, like, yeah, this FSU wins, gonna look great. But what if they lose? What if they drop another game? So,
but I mean that's true. But
preseason
as of right now,
a waste of time.
As of right now, that's the most impressive win, though.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, that's the most impressive one. We haven't even seen Clemson play yet. That's what I'm saying.
But you got to judge it by week by week.
The team do this right, where they beat a highly ranked team, and that highly ranked team, when we get to November, has 3 or 4 losses.
Well, I agree, Tim. But that's why you go week by week. You reevaluate each week. As of right now, that's the most impressive win. Now, could it be not that impressive later on? 100%. But you got to reevaluate each week.
Why do you have to?
Because that's all we know right now is that they beat the number 5 team. We don't know how good really those teams are. We got to go by where they at right now.
Yeah, well, you can. That's one way to do it, or you can look at the guys on the field and let them play it out. And just
that's true, but that's why you go week by week.
Preseason ranking of 5 means that, well, hey, they got the most impressive win. Okay, if you say so. But again, time and time again, year after year after year, you have teams ranked in the top 5 or the top 10 that aren't there at the end of the year. So you say, well, that's what we have to go off
I
of?
agree.
Let's look at the entire thing and maybe reevaluate. Wow, were they a top 5 team? Hey,
No,
hey, wow,
we
look
don't
at how-
know that though,
I
Tim.
agree,
That's
but
the
you got to
point.
start as a baseline, is what he's saying. I mean, you got to have a baseline somewhere. So you got to have
But we've
whether that
seen
means
Because that's not the most
rankings.
impressive. Because Tim, if that's not the most impressive win, what was this week?
Now, I'm going to say to you that on paper, that was the most impressive win. You can
There
say
you go.
that. And they played well. But at the same time, we don't know how good LSU is. Just like we don't know how
Yeah,
good
no
the
one's
other teams
disagreeing
are.
with
But
that.
we did see all the teams play. Dude, what's with you? But the thing is we have seen all these teams play now. A team like Colorado, right? That we thought TCU was a great team. We thought Colorado was garbage preseason, right? And now
Well,
we've seen
I
them
mean,
play.
TCU
So
lost a lot.
You need to reevaluate not just the guys who won. You need to reevaluate the guys that lost and why were there. Maybe that was a misread. So no, I disagree with you. You don't have to say, well, they beat the number 5 LSU, so crank them up to number 1. If they beat Clemson, number 9, we don't know how well they are.
Well, TCU, here's the difference, though. TCU was a huge question mark. They lost everybody. I mean, they returned to pretty much nobody. They don't recruit that high. So, I mean, that was more of a question mark than this LSU team is. TCU was a huge question mark. They lost everybody. So, I think that's two different scenarios that you're bringing up.
Okay. How many people did LSU return?
They returned, I don't know what exactly they returned, but they returned key pieces. TCU lost their quarterback. They lost their running back. They lost most of their defense.
I'm not going to argue TCU didn't lose a bunch of people. What I am saying is the preseason geniuses had them ranked, 17 or something like that? And clearly they're not a top 25 team.
No, they're not. I agree with that.
So as always, like I tried to say earlier, as we've seen every year throughout college football history, these preseason rankings are usually kind of a waste of time. And so before we start anointing people number 1 a couple weeks from now, let's let a couple weeks play out, and then we'll see who's number 1 in 2 or 3 weeks. Would you agree?
I go week by week, so that's not how I look at it. So as of week 1, they got the most impressive win, so I'm going by that.
I agree with what you're saying, but the same thing is you can apply that to Clemson. We haven't even seen them play a game.
Preseason rankings are a waste of time.
Yeah.
So where should we start the rankings? What week is the perfect week?
There's a reason why they don't release the playoff rankings until week 5? When is it? Week 5 or so? It's because you don't know who these teams are.
The playoff rankings
Playoff
are
rankings
released at week 10.
They don't.
Hey guys, let's do something. Let's all talk one at a time. You guys are jumping in. Let someone finish and then go ahead.
Well, I actually agree with Tim on this. I think that they shouldn't have any rankings up to a certain point. I'll agree with him on that.
Well, I will say this too. I think the reason that LSU's been so hyped up is because of what happened. A lot has to do with what happened last season, and they come into this year, a little bit higher ranked than they probably should have been, and Florida State's a really good team. They were good last year, and so I don't think we might look down the road and LSU might not be that good. We'll see. But I kind of agree with what Tim's saying here. But let's not take anything away from Florida State here. This was a good win for them.
Absolutely.
They've struggled. Last year was a good year, but the years before that, they've struggled. And they put together, that Coleman kid, that kid's very impressive. Wilson.
Yeah, no, I wonder what conference he was from.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's on their team.
I'm just throwing that in there.
But it doesn't matter. He's on their team. So, it don't matter where he came from. It's legal now to transfer. So, you can't. That's not really an argument.
I think more conferences should pick from the Big Ten. It seems like, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, half the teams around here are, compiled of so many transfers at this point. Like it's not. That's just how it's been, and how it's going to be.
Ooh,
yeah.
Tony.
So first off, it's Cardinal, as I believe FSU is Garnet, so it's not red. And the second point is I don't care who passes USC in week 3, because we're having this conversation. I don't care who's ranked where in week 3 of football. It's a waste of time. I'm interested in where they are at the end of the season. It's the whole idea is to be the top 4. And
So do you?
Tim,
I agree with that. I'll agree with Tim on that.
This is week 1. Next week's week 2. I know you played week 0, but just get the weeks correct.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you, we played 2 games, so we could call it week 0. We can call it week 1, 2, 3. When we get to week 3 or 4, it still doesn't mean anything. What matters is November. So someone leaves, and I'll tell you, I think Florida State should. I think LSU should drop. I think Florida State should jump into the top 5. I'm just saying, hit your brakes on making them number 1, because until someone shows me differently, I know Georgia has some new pieces in there, but until someone can show me that they are not the best team in the country, let's not start popping Florida State up there, because we don't know how good LSU is.
Well, I agree with
I have a completely different opinion. I agree. Go
I agree
ahead.
with it.
All right, how about number
what you're saying,
2?
Tim.
How about number 2?
I agree with what Tim's saying as far as this, but my question is, if you're going to make that argument, what week do you think the rankings should be released? Is it when they release the playoff rankings, or?
So I think
I think he's saying take a more NFL approach.
No. I think they should listen. Hold on, for the sport, for the game, for us all to talk and argue. I think it's great they have preseason. I think it's great that they have week 0, 1, 2, and 3. But I'm saying, if you're going to look at the actual numbers and start talking about how good this team is, who's number 1, who's number 5, and take it seriously, it's a fluid thing. It's for conversation, because it doesn't matter till the end of the year. But to say, well, this team beat the number 5 team, and then they maybe beat the number 9 team, that makes them the number 1 team. I'm saying that's where the logic breaks down, because you don't know how good these teams are. The only reason why the rankings are good, why I like that they're released in the preseason, is because it gives us something to the BS about, right? It gives us something to talk about right now, like we're doing. But if you start trying to make a logical argument about this team should be number 1 because of this and that, that's when the whole thing breaks down. It's a fun conversation. There's no empirical way to say that LSU was a number 5 team in week 1. That's my point.
I agree. You can say that about everybody.
I agree with that 100%, because that's where I was not with you, because I was thinking, well, then what are we having any conversations for if you have to? I mean, we're just making projections, and however you want to make those projections based off power rankings, based off whatever rating system that anyone has. I mean, they're all just projections. We don't know, and that was kind of my point. And I was like, well, there's no sense of making any kind of prediction or anything if it's just a wait and see mentality.
Well, let's just do this on this panel right now. Let's say it plays out the way we just said it. Let's say they beat Clemson, and let's say they beat them by 14, right? 2 scores. Who here thinks that they're going to leapfrog Georgia if Georgia just takes care of business over the next 3 weeks?
I'll say this should be number 2.
Game.
Well, number 1. You got
put
number
him
1?
at 2. Number 2.
I don't see it, but yeah.
I say top 5.
I'll say number 2.
I'll be honest. It's
absolutely
gonna be
top 5.
They should be 2.
I don't think they're gonna leapfrog the 2.
Are we talking college? Are we talking about when the college first college comes out, or are we talking about like AP poll when they beat Clemson? I mean, like,
that's a good point, Ben.
That's what I'm talking about.
Michigan gonna be ranked number 2 by the end of the season. They'll have the 2 best wins on anyone's schedule.
You're already chalking up wins 11 weeks from now?
If we're talking about playoff rankings,
buddy. That's pretty bold.
If we're talking playoff rankings, then yeah, I mean, by that point, if Michigan beats Penn State and Ohio State, they'll have the 2 most impressive wins for sure.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna cut this.
Clemson real quick. Let's go back to Clemson. So the Clemson in Florida, they play the 23rd is the Florida Clemson game. So we only have AP poll at that point. And if Florida, I mean, we're trying to predict what the AP is going to say. I mean, the AP could put Florida at number 2 or 3 after the game tonight. I don't know. I mean, after beating Clemson, I mean, I could see. I can never predict what the AP is going to do, but I could see them being in the top 4 easily.
Well,
I have no doubt. I have no doubt they win both. I have no doubt they're most likely going to be in the top 5 on the next poll, and I think they should be. Based on what we know, right? Mm-hmm, but I'm just saying, 3 weeks from now, we'll know a lot more. We'll know a lot more in 3 to 4 weeks about how impressive this LSU win. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying LSU is a bad team. I'm saying, why don't we wait to see what LSU can do before we go 3 weeks into the future and say that that they're going to be that FSU is going to be number one in the country. That's all I'm saying.
I was going
I'll say that. How about number 2, Tim? Number 2. There should be no argument for number 2.
Sure.
All right.
Well, I was going to cut it and say then let's go on and look at how bad Ohio State looked yesterday. So I don't know
they
if
looked
they're
awful.
going to beat a good team, Ohio State, or a
Hey, you know what? You got a good point. You got a good point. They might be 9-3. They might look 9-3. They might be 9-3 by the end of the year.
So I'm gonna, as a Michigan fan, I want to make this point with as far as the Florida State thing, and hop to the the OSU thing. Both Ohio State and Michigan, they're like 2 and 3, had a lot worse of a performance versus a lot worse team than we can all say LSU is a better team than ECU or Indiana, and yet Florida State had a larger margin victory than both those teams.
Well,
it was
hold on.
You forget the rankings. It was LSU was the best team that lost this week, in my opinion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
was
doubt.
The most dominant performance. So I mean, if you were going to do a fair ranking, you would have to put Florida State up there pretty high. I mean, because you would have to do that, and it's OSU. But anyways.
But Ben, real quick. Yeah, Ben, real quick. Here's the thing, though. They beat the most impressive opponent, but it's hard to judge the Michigan kind of game because that was more like of a workman type of game. I wouldn't say they performed bad. They had the third stringers in there, the whole fourth quarter. I mean, that's hard to judge.
Third and fourth, I understand that, and definitely probably more so with the Ohio State game because
now,
they
Ohio
look like
State,
they're struggling. Yeah.
Ohio State was bad.
So, what do you guys think about the Ohio State Indiana game?
Well, I just want for the record.
I will say the Ohio State Indiana game. It was a little bit low scoring. It was the lowest scoring game since 1966, where Ohio State beat Indiana 7-0. But I will say I'm not going to overreact to Ohio State right now. But if it's week 11 and they're being this sloppy, then it's time to say, okay, I got some questions about this Buckeyes team.
Oh, they don't have to wait till week 11. If it's week 4 and it still looks like this,
that's true.
Week 4 is when they're playing Notre Dame, right?
So give me a second. So here's the only issue I see. And Mark actually, my audio went out last time I was talking to Mark, but he did say that there was some offensive line play that was an issue. When you have the receivers they have, and you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you have Mbuka and those guys, and you go 2 of 10 on third down.
And Stover.
That tells me there is a quarterback problem. Period. And if you don't have a quarterback,
well, not only that, Ryan Day thought he'd be Harbaugh.
And so I heard them talk about the fact that how many times we've seen an Ohio State quarterback come out and lay an egg in the first game, and they're this and that. And okay, but that doesn't mean every time an Ohio State quarterback comes out and lays an egg that they're going to get better later in the season. I will say let's not freak out because Ohio State still has those receivers and they're going to play just fine offensively. But I am saying it raises the eyebrows unless there's something about Indiana we don't know about their defense. I'm going to say it's probably they don't have a bunch of blue chippers on defense. I think that there is a serious problem somewhere. And going 2 of 10 for Ohio State, playing a team at the quality of Indiana, that I don't care how much of an Ohio State homer you are, you got to say there's some serious red flags about our offense.
I'd like to put.
I agree. And not only that, Tim. Well, I was going real quick. Not only that, Tim. I swear they took inspiration from Harbaugh because 95% of the snaps were under center. Like, what are they doing? You have the best wide receiver core in the nation. You're going I formation 95% of the game. Like, what are they doing?
Marvin Harrison, I think, had 2 catches. 2.
Yeah, I was going to say
it made no sense. Like, it made no sense.
There were some drops by those highly those of the elite. I know they're elite, and I'm saying quote, and I put the quotation, but there were some drops early this season, and I wouldn't hold it all in the in that game. I wouldn't hold it all on the quarterback. I mean, I think there was some getting in a rhythm kind of issues at the beginning.
20 of 33. He played the whole game. 20 of 33, 239 yards, 1 interception against Indiana. That's not the kind of stat line you're going to want to have.
Not with those receivers. But yeah, let's shout out Will here. Will ND, of course. He was on for a little bit, and he wants to gloat as the Notre Dame man. Dear LSU fans.
Wait. Was he warning about Brian Kelly? I thought Brian Kelly was a great coach.
I'm assuming that's what he's getting at. I'm guessing. That's exactly
I'm with Will. The biggest indictment on Brian Kelly is and still is, and I've never heard anybody from LSU or even remotely a fan from Notre Dame that still likes Brian Kelly. How did Brian Kelly go the better part of over a decade, 12 years or whatever, and only have one like 5-star quarterback at Notre Dame? How do you go? And as soon as you get Hartman in, this offense is running normally. It's weird that a team like Notre Dame is unable to get a 5-star quarterback.
Well, it's due to a lot of the academics at Notre Dame. I mean, that's just a harder place to recruit to than other places.
Quarterbacks in academic schools? I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm just saying, generally speaking, that's a harder place to recruit to than, let's say, other schools that don't have as high as academic standards as.
I'm going to push. I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to push back. If a school like Stanford, and no offense, Notre Dame is a great top 25 school in the country, solid, great institution, but they're not Stanford. And Stanford's had how many 5-star quarterbacks roll through there over the past decade? So, and then that 5-star, 5 and 4-star high, top 100 quarterbacks. So the fact that Brian Kelly year in and year out was just thinking, I'm just going to put a great offensive line out there, and every 4 or 5 years I'm going to road grade everybody. That's kind of telling. But anyway, I'm happy for you, Will. I know you enjoyed that today.
But on the whole Ohio State thing, I mean, I hate Ohio State just as much as y'all Michigan fans do. I cannot stand Ohio. Yeah, no, yes, I do. I cannot stand Ohio State. It's just too early to really cast too much judgment until we see them face a tougher opponent. Now, if this is like this 2 weeks from now, then Ohio State fans should maybe start hitting the panic button a little bit. But
this is good. This is the worst Ohio State team since 2011.
I mean, I would be fine if they lost every game on their schedule. I mean, it wouldn't bother me at all.
Look, I know bad football when I see it, and they've got some serious issues.
I'm gonna say this. I mean, I think they had a lot of changes, and I think they have issues with their. I agree with Mark. If Mark said that they have issues with their offensive line, and I think that was brought up in camp, and I've seen it. Indiana. I think they're going to be better. They're going to improve each game, and where they're going to. But I have also, they're not, they're a team, and they could. And I'm hoping to see them drop. I would love to see them kind of drop off, and even though they've brought out quarterbacks and had Heisman candidate quarterbacks, doesn't mean they're going to do that every year. There's nothing that says because they've done it before, they're going to do it every year. So I think it's too early to tell, but if you're going to just go by one game, then. I mean, that's all we have. Then they don't look good.
Well,
Hummus, it is one game, but Hummus, it's one thing if it's one game, and I get you, it's one game. But man, if you're telling me you are not concerned, you say, "Oh, it's just one game." It's Indiana, and you guys were 2 of 10 on third down. Am I saying that Ohio State?
Man, I am just spinning crazy here.
Ben to probably win the conference. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a concern. And if anyone says they're not concerned, I think it's whistling past the graveyard.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And another major red flag, and I'll say it again. I formation under center offense is a huge red flag for a Ryan Day offense. That tells me, one, he either doesn't trust the QB 100%, and two, he probably knows his O-line is trash.
Or maybe doesn't trust the center, maybe snapping it.
Maybe. But as for Lemansky, pass attempts, McNamara 33, Mordecai 31, Altamir 26, rush attempts, Iowa 30. I guess it's Iowa 36. Yeah, Wisconsin 40, Illinois 35. Fickle ran the ball to win, but McNamara 2 pass touchdowns. Quarterbacks are critical. Well, quarterbacks are critical. It's objectively, as everyone would say, it's the most critical position on the field. I mean, he makes a lot of calls. He's the one who has the ball in his hand just as much as the center does. I mean, and he's the one throwing it. The center just has to hike the ball, So, yeah, the quarterback is one of the most crucial positions. Easily.
The good news is that they completely shut out the Indiana offense. I mean, so the defense. I thought going this season, I never worry about the offense at Ohio State, and I think it will get corrected. I think everyone this year going into the season was looking at how's Knowles going to do in year 2, right? Because usually we know in year 2 of system, teams generally improve. And how much is Indiana going to tell us? I don't know, but they did what they're supposed to do. They had an absolute dominant performance, and they held them to under 100 yards rushing and under 100 yards passing. So that can't be overlooked as well.
I will say that's kind of hard to judge considering they ran a triple option offense and threw the ball a total of 5 times going in the fourth quarter. So I'm a reserve judgment on that.
They ran triple option. They held them under 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, they ran triple option as a team that doesn't run triple option.
Well, that I think actually goes more in Ohio State's favor because what is Ohio State preparing for? You got to kind of prepare for the triple option, and you're actually able to go into them not expecting triple option but I heard rumor that they would run the triple option. So maybe Ohio State did prepare for it.
Do they have the same offensive coordinator as they had last year?
Ryan Day is right? Am I correct? I mean, Ryan Day is the offensive architect of that team.
Yep. But yeah, there's only 2 touchdowns scored from the game, and they were both by Mayan Williams.
What's up, Will? Did you come to
a lot better? Feeling great about the game tonight. Just a beautiful night of college football, wasn't it, gentlemen? Just exactly what you the thing happens exactly what you want to happen. You got to feel pretty freaking good.
All right, this gloating, I'm not going to allow. Will, goodbye. No.
But yeah, I mean, the Buckeyes, there's a lot of concern there on that offense. And, McCord clearly looks like the worst Buckeye quarterback right now. He looks like the worst one I've ever seen out of any of them. I mean, I've only seen Terrell Pryor was the first Buckeye quarterback I saw. So it's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, real quick before I got cut out, the point I was making with the triple option is, when it comes to triple option, the teams that run that, they've been practicing that for years. Indiana is just like, you know what, let's try this triple option and see if it works. We don't even know if they're good at the triple option. 1. 2, a lot of Ohio State defenses in the past couple of years, they've gone on weak stretches where they're playing terrible offenses and they look like a top defense. And they play a team that's actually got a pulse on offense, and they're like, oh, yep, there's that terrible offense or terrible defense. So I'm a reserve judgment on that.
That's fair.
Hamasiro bringing us some inside knowledge here, as if that's an excuse. But
well, speaking of quarterbacks, what did you guys think about Drew Aller's play?
He looks good.
Oh, man, he was fantastic.
He looks sharp.
I didn't get to watch the game, and I'm going to try to go back and watch it.
Second best team in the Big Ten.
Well, hang on. Go back to Hummus's point again really quick. That's not something to overlook, you guys. I mean, did you guys read what that says? Yeah. So it's not that he's just familiar with it. He knows, So, I mean, yes, but Hummus, I would pass back on again.
Yeah, so is the Rutgers coach.
We talk about the Ohio State receiving core, the running backs, et cetera, et cetera. You can't do that and say, well, our analyst was over there, so I know the offense. You should be able to call across the line and say, Indiana, we're going to run a blast. And you should be able to pick up 3 or 4 yards if you're Ohio State and you wanted to compete for a national championship.
Well, Tim, not only that.
I'm not saying that they're going to lose. I'm not saying they're not going to win the Big Ten because I still have them as my favorite to win the Big Ten. However, I'm saying anyone out there in Ohio State land who's saying I'm not worried, it's okay. I think that you're not
full of
really
crap.
paying
Yeah,
attention.
and Tim, not only that, they can't even use that excuse because Greg Schiano is the Rutgers head coach, and he used to be on the defensive staff for Ohio State. How come that doesn't work for him then?
Hey, it's Hubbard's point, not mine. But I'm
No,
saying
I
is
agree. I'm just pointing that out.
it isn't like that's not noteworthy. I think it's a very valid point. But again, I don't think it excuses Indiana's defense is not anything that Ohio State should ever worry about. And if they're struggling against Ohio, it's Indiana. I'm sorry, that's just a concern. Period.
We don't want to talk about quarterbacks this weekend. I've heard all offseason about the Alabama quarterback situation. And to see what Milroe was able to do in that game, I know it's Middle Tennessee State. I know it's a nobody team. But to see what he was able to do in that game versus all the haters that have come after him this offseason, I mean, he set a record at Alabama as a quarterback. So, and to see, the way that our offense was able to perform in that game, I was very impressed. I think he's going to be our quarterback going into this Texas game. And I think if he plays like he did against Middle Tennessee State, if he plays that way on Saturday, I think we beat Texas pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are a contender if he plays like that, but it was against Middle Tennessee State. But so we'll see next week. I'm excited for the game next week.
So I'm
just saying, all the haters on the offseason talking about how bad he is, and then for him to come in there and play with that much confidence and to show people that he can throw the ball, because that's one of the things that people said that he couldn't do, and he showed last Saturday that he could throw the ball down the field when he needs to.
Hunter, if I told you USC put up 66 and almost 700 yards in offense, would you be impressed? No, you know why? It's because of who we played. So let's wait. Let's wait and see who you guys play, and then we can say, okay, yeah, I get you. Yeah, we were wrong about Milroe.
I did say that it was against Middle Tennessee State, but all I'm pointing out is all the hate that he got in the offseason from the media, from everybody who's talking about how bad and awful this quarterback situation was. And for him to go in there, and granted who it's with, I understand who that we were playing against, but to see him to be able to maneuver and to throw passes down the field like he did is very encouraging, to say the least. In regards to all the haters. So I've been a big advocate of him throughout the offseason. I've always said that he's better than what he looked last year in those 2 games that he played in last year.
I'm not as worried about your quarterback as I am Tommy Reese versus getting Andy Ludwig. If you had landed Andy Ludwig, I wouldn't care if you had Forrest Gump back there at quarterback. It would be a different story. But the fact that you do have Tommy Reese, you want to talk to Will about Tommy Reese for about a few minutes? That to me seemed like a panic hire to begin with.
No, I don't want to talk about Tommy
I
Reese
trust
at
Nick
all.
Saban. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, they lit it up, even though they played trash.
Hunter, you guys are gonna be fine. You got one of the most talented teams in the country. Alabama's be right there at the end. I'm not hating on Alabama at all.
Plus, they got their secret weapon. Buckner is gonna be your secret weapon.
See, now you guys,
Milroe's the quarterback.
Can you stop?
So you guys before this you brought up Drew Aller, and that was one of the topics of tonight was Penn State beating on West Virginia, which I think was to be expected. And I didn't get to watch this game at all, so I can't tell you if Drew Aller looked good. Was it what you expected? I don't know. But it was one of the bigger games, non-con.
Daryl, why are you doing? You're not an Alabama fan. You're a Kentucky fan, Daryl.
He's an SEC.
Well, if Alabama's good, then Kentucky has to be by transitive property.
Okay, sorry. Back to Aller. I'm sorry, Ben.
No, you're good. No. What do you guys think with Penn State over West Virginia? It was, I believe, 38-15, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a pretty big victory, man. It was fantastic. I can't wait to see more of Penn State in the next several weeks, especially Drew Allar.
So, do you guys, by watching that game, are you buying in Penn State is going to be as good as they're predicted to be?
I don't trust James Franklin, though. That's the thing. I feel like Franklin always finds a way to screw it up.
You gotta give him a chance. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's the same thing like Jim Harbaugh after 2020. Everyone in Michigan was ready to just throw him out the door. Like
not everyone, Jackson. Not this guy.
Not.
I'm on Mark's show as record of defending Harbaugh.
Thank you for clearing that, Ben. I appreciate that.
I hope
a lot of the a lot of the nation was just ready to throw out Harbaugh, like Jazz getting thrown out on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Then the moment Michigan beats Ohio State 2021, everybody's excited about Harbaugh for sure. And Harbaugh's been amazing. And I will say, Franklin has been amazing. His record shows at Vanderbilt, and there's a reason he was a head coach in waiting at Maryland in 2010. And he's been fantastic as well.
He lost to Clay Helton in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I know, but he won the Big Ten that year.
Yeah, but I mean that's a fluky win against Ohio State.
What?
That was a win.
What? Well, rewind. What was a fluky win?
Franklin's win.
Oh, Franklin's win. Okay, yeah.
Well, since y'all bring up khaki pants, Ben, I have Michigan Ben. I got a question for you. When I don't know if you saw this clip, but it was a few years ago, and it was on the FS1 show with Shannon and Sharp, where Shannon said that Jim Harbaugh was a better football coach than Nick Saban.
He's a better overall coach.
Well, no, so that's where you lose me.
Well, if you include the NFL, I mean, one succeeded, one didn't. Nick Saban's a better college coach for sure. That's no debate. But if you're talking about just overall NFL and college, I mean.
Well, if he wouldn't have failed, if Drew Brees wouldn't have failed that physical, I think things would have turned out a lot different for Nick Saban.
We've seen two all-time great college coaches just completely bomb the NFL now. Nick Saban and Urban.
Don't forget Chip Kelly.
Lou bombed pretty bad.
NFL's a whole nother level.
Hey, Chip Kelly won his division his first year and at least had 9 wins each season.
It's harder to coach the NFL than college. It's way harder.
I'm staying quiet on this one.
Because you could rely on talent in college. You could rely on having a talent advantage in college. You can't rely on that in the NFL.
That is your job as a head coach, is to recruit talent. That's the biggest part of your job. You're not going to win games if you don't have talent.
Here's the difference. Recruiting is just being a salesperson.
Well, it doesn't matter. That's,
that's what recruiting is.
It doesn't matter. That's part of your job as a college head coach.
Well, yeah, I agree, but it's not coaching, though. I mean, it's part of the job, but it's still not coaching. Coaching, NFL is the purest form of coaching. And Jim Harbaugh succeeded at that, where the other two guys bombed miserably.
And so you're saying that he's a better overall head coach than Nick Saban? Because
I think if Harbaugh was in the same situation as Nick Saban with all that talent, because part of it is it's Alabama. I mean, let's be real. But if he was in that same situation with that same talent, I think he has the same success.
Wait, is Harbaugh Middle Tennessee State? I mean, I'm sorry. Where is Harbaugh at? Oh, is he at Michigan?
He's at Michigan, but are you trying to tell me Michigan is able to recruit at the same level as Bama?
What, he has the same opportunity to recruit the same kids that Nick Saban?
No.
If you win a national champion, if you win 2 national championships and a Super Bowl, that means you're the greatest coach of all time.
I'll put it like this. DeReal, as an SEC fan, even said this because I got him to agree to it. If Michigan's won the chip this year, it'd be the most impressive chip we've ever seen, considering how they've recruited.
But your argument doesn't make any sense because
it makes perfect sense.
He has the opportunity to recruit the same kids that Nick Saban.
There's different barriers at Michigan than there is at Alabama.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. There's 100% different barriers at Michigan.
There is.
No one's gonna
Well,
argue.
I have to address the real here. No, we're not comparing Chip Kelly to Nick Saban's tier of overall football coaching. We're just saying Chip Kelly lasted in the NFL a lot longer than Nick Saban did.
But hypothetically, what I'm saying is that he has the opportunity to recruit the same kids that Nick Saban goes after. He has the ability to offer them, his ability to scout.
No,
I
I
mean,
think
you could send an offer. You could send an offer, but there's barriers and there's things after that occur. To say that you can offer them, there's more to it than just offering a recruit.
Okay, but my point is look at Dabo Swinney, right? Yes, they haven't recruited the level of an Alabama, and they won national championships in a very, very dominant way. So,
Well, but here's the difference. Clemson was in a conference with Ohio State.
Hang on a minute. The whole thing about these recruiting things everyone wants to quote. They're good in the average. It's not science. I mean, you guys are buying the 247, the rivals hype train too much. You know, these are projections. They're guessing how good kids will be 3 years from when they come in. So I do believe there's truth to it because it's not too hard. What you should look at is the top 100 kids, and I bet you they got maybe 75% of them right. That's what it is. But, that guy's 75, the 5-star blue chip guy, there's not that much of a difference. They're making guesses at that level. It's not hard to find the 20 team. So when you start saying, well, Michigan can't. Why can't Michigan? Why can't they?
No, I agree. Michigan. If Michigan won the go ahead,
Michigan does recruiting violations. They are. Do you see what the NCAA is trying to do to Michigan, and then you see what they try to do to Tennessee? Those are two different standards.
Ohio State does it
because Ohio State has Genie Smith as an AD, and they have a better. It's not the coach though.
Well, Ohio State. Let's be real. I mean, their quarterback said it best. Their quarterback said it best. We don't come here to play school. We come here to play football. I mean, Ohio State. They're not going there to go to school. They're going there strictly to play football.
I'm just going to say that
Michigan are all scholars. Yeah, that's right. So every one of your guys is Phi Beta Kappa.
I mean, well, hold on. About your Clemson point, though, the difference between Clemson and Michigan also is Michigan still had to go through Ohio State to get to the playoffs those years.
I mean,
who was Clemson going through to get to the playoffs?
I mean, Clemson slaughtered 2016 Ohio State.
No, I agree. But what my point is that Michigan had to go through Ohio State every single year to even have a chance to get into the playoffs.
Aren't they
Clemson? Who is Clemson going through to get to the playoffs? No one on that level.
It doesn't matter. It does matter.
What?
Okay, you can go by two things. You can go by two things. You can go by projection, which we are trying to do, or you can go by results, which Nick Saban obviously has. Nick Saban has the results. That's not the question that was asked. So I mean, if you want to go by results, we can go by results.
Coach of all time. There's no conversation about it.
Well, he is the greatest college. He is the greatest college football coach of all time. I don't disagree with that.
And so that makes Pete Carroll or Jimmy Johnson and Pete Carroll the greatest coach of all time under your metric.
Yes, because I value NFL coaching over college coaching.
Why?
Because when it comes to NFL coaching, it's pure X's and O's. There's no talent advantage at all. It's it's the most minuscule talent advantage in the NFL. That's why it's so hard to coach.
Well, here's
That's why coaches fail all the time.
Here's where I disagree with you because you don't have to deal. So those guys are all professionals under contract. They don't go to school, etc. The things that college coaches have to do to win that you don't even know about, and as far as on the field, is a different skill set. So you have to balance a lot with that. You're saying yes. It's
every week in the NFL, you're facing a team with equal or better talent than you every single week.
That's not true.
Well, but
that is 100% true.
That's literally not true.
Let's go by your logic, Tim. Even if a team has less talent, it's not by the same degree in college football.
Okay, now
Alabama has significantly more talent than 90% of the teams they play.
Now you clean it up. Now I agree with you. Now you clean it up. But you just said that every game, you made it seem like it's just like complete parity, where it's just every game is a slugfest. Either you're equal or better, and that's just simply not true. We know rosters.
Okay, but there's much more parity. There's way more parity. It's not even comparable.
Can I just say something real quick? I don't know how many of y'all know this stats. Nick Saban has more national championships than losses at Bryant-Denny. Let that sink in for a second.
We're not debating that, bro.
Well, that's the point, though.
Were you baiting that question just to talk about how great Nick Saban was?
No. But I was genuinely curious.
I feel like we've all been fooled.
Well,
No.
that's the point.
I was genuinely asking how y'all felt about that as a Michigan fan when people said things like that in the media, and then we just got all up on a tangent.
Yeah. I think what Harbaugh has done in every program that he's been in has been impressive. I think that you would look at Michigan as less impressive than any other place that he's been.
I mean,
That's
I like
what I
Kentucky
think.
fans. I mean, I'm not hating on him.
It's hard, but it's hard to judge Michigan, his tenure at Michigan versus others, because again, he came into Michigan with a huge when the team had one of the worst records in football for 8 years, was in the slumps, and he's got to go up against a juggernaut Ohio State team every single year that hadn't been in a bad stretch for 20 years. Had one bad year in between Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. I mean, it's just hard to compare to his other tenures. Like,
look. Coaching at college compared to pro is different animal, because in college you're going up against a lesser team, but then you have to motivate your team to want to even care about that game. Otherwise, they could easily slip through their fingers no matter what you do. So you have to do that. But as to T. Higgins here, thank you again for another super chat. And I think the Michigan guys can briefly agree on this quickly. We gotta move the hell along here. I don't know what you people are doing tonight. You guys are tangents on your own over here. But yeah, as long as Michigan keeps beating up Ohio State, taking their lunch money, Harbaugh.
I want that to happen. I want Michigan to beat Ohio State every year, and I want Ohio State to lose every game that they play. That would be perfectly fine with me.
And we are in agreement on one thing, my friend.
So I think that's it. Beat your rivals.
Speaking of rivals,
college football, beat your rivals.
Speaking of rivals, what about the North Carolina-South Carolina rivalry?
That's another good topic, because that's where we were getting to, because that game surprised me. I was
Drake May looked bad.
Really surprised.
And they still won.
31-17, North Carolina tops little brother South Carolina.
And I was just glad when I was watching that game to watch another SEC team lose, because I like to see where Durrell is going to come up with this SEC stats Durrell is going to come up with this year.
Mm-hmm. I was shocked that South Carolina could just not run the ball. I mean, an SEC team, you feel like should be at least be able to run the ball a bit, but nope, not South Carolina. They rushed -2 yards rushing, I believe. It was -2.
-2?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look at the stats.
That is that's worse than an FCS team.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Portland State at least had 100 on us.
I mean, Drake May is really, really good. I mean, I thought that they had the quarterback advantage in that game, and so that's why I had North Carolina winning that game, because of the quarterback advantage. Spencer Rattler's been too inconsistent.
First half against ND, he looked good. Second half, he looked bad. He just couldn't deal with the adjustments that Al Golden made, and I feel like Durrell, you did have more rushing yards than South Carolina this week. He said that.
who's the Reals team, man? I never figured it.
Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to ESPN, they didn't have -1; they had -2.
Yeah, -2. Yeah.
That's really bad.
Hey, you know what's going to be, I think, a great game this year? Going to be Colorado USC.
Yeah. And I mean, Colorado versus any of the good Pac teams are going to be fun this year. But I feel like
that's going to be a shootout.
I feel like their strengths and USC's strengths are pretty similar.
The Colorado USC going to be a shootout.
Y'all are drunk because Colorado's going to come into Eugene probably 3-0, and then Oregon and USC are going to smack him so hard it's going to be 120-10 between the 2 weeks.
I feel like you guys are going to expose their lines of scrimmages for sure. The Ducks are.
I think Oregon.
USC and Oregon.
I think Oregon has. I think Oregon. Well, I think USC. I think USC Colorado going to be a thriller.
Yeah.
I think when Oregon plays Colorado, I'm really interested in seeing how, because especially Oregon with their turnover rate. I want to see how they're going to be able to,
USC Colorado is going to be a 50-50 game, 50 points apiece.
I don't expect Colorado to I think Oregon's going to really expose
Sam,
them.
your mic's muted.
So I hear you trolling, and it's hilarious. But the best part about this is how many points does USC score on Colorado? Let's get some receipts. How many points does USC score?
Well, they're both going to score a lot. That's the point.
So the question is, how many points is USC going to score on Colorado's defense?
I'll say 60.
And you think that Colorado is going to put 60 on USC?
55 or 60, yeah.
Okay. Just put the bottle down, dude. Just put it down.
Well, I mean, look, man. Deion Sanders coming.
I'm sorry I question Harbaugh. Maybe we shouldn't talk about khaki that way, but you're a bit hurt right now.
I'm being real, man. I think it's going to be a high flying shootout.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
But the thing
somebody quit feeding him the pot, man, because he's like hallucinating big time.
I don't think it's that crazy, man. I'm not sold on USC's defense, man.
No matter how good the game, no matter like how much good like USC's defense gets, I'm still going to be excited to see Travis Hunter go out there, man. Because if he has the game that he wants to have, he could steal the Heisman from Caleb. So that's just going to be exciting. Just Travis Hunter versus Caleb. It's going to be a
JJ McCarthy for Heisman.
The thing about the Colorado
the level of delusion going on is scary.
Hey, man.
He did have the best performance of all the quarterbacks as far as numbers, passing percentage.
Our guy Matthew with a super chat.
The thing about Colorado, though, is after that win, how much do y'all think that they could possibly get, their heads get too high and think that they can just go and, like Nick Saban talks about that rat poison?
And just get let down huge after this.
No, yeah. I think Deion got that old school mentality. I think he's gonna whip him in shape.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think if Deion sees them being lazy in prep for any game, he's gonna light a fire under their ass so fast and tell them to get the hell out of his training room, just like he did the old team. To be honest, I don't think he's gonna play around. But super chat from Matthew Miller here: would you guys watch a bottom 4 playoff, and who would they be?
I mean, it would be hard to watch.
I would watch it. I would watch like the worst 4 teams in college football.
So out of 130 teams, we're talking 126 to 130.
Worst out of the Power 5, or worst out of the FBS, or
that's a good question. That's a good question.
If we're talking FBS, Kent State is definitely on there this year.
That's a good question, Matthew. In the chat, just text in the chat, just normal, and put Power 5 or all FBS real quick, because that does make a difference. But I would still watch it because it would be such a dumpster fire.
So they get a trophy for that? They get a trophy then?
Well, I mean, now if you win, does that mean you're not the worst? If you're the first to lose by the biggest margin, are you the worst?
Let's make that. Like, let's put that 4 together. And I'm gonna throw in right away Northwestern.
Oh yeah, that was bad, man.
Northwestern gets one.
Northwestern. Who else gets in?
I would say Arizona.
You could add Sam Houston. They scored 0 on the road against BYU, and
I think Indiana going to be there.
Boston College.
No, Indiana.
Boston College.
Yeah, I think Indiana going to be there, and then we're going to be looking back like, how did Ohio State only put up 23 on that team?
I don't know about that, man. I'm thinking Indiana's going to be a better team than.
Like, man, how did Ohio State only put 23 on a team that's in the bottom 4 playoff? That's crazy.
I think we definitely got to put.
Indiana looked horrible.
Arizona State looked bad. I mean, they barely beat.
Hey, give Grant Vanderbilt credit, because I don't think I would put him there this year.
Yeah, I give a pass with ASU because they had a 3-hour weather delay, and they came out.
Who is Butch Jones's team?
Oh yeah, Isn't like Butch Jones like the champion of life or something?
But what was his team, bro? They lost 73-0.
Arkansas. It was Arkansas State, and they lost 73-0 against Oklahoma. And this is like
that's
his
Butch
third year at
Davis's team?
Arkansas.
Yeah, he was crying on the sideline, man. That was rough.
All right, the chat is now just yelling out random teams that have already won games. Arkansas State, mate. No, a lot of people are saying Arkansas State. I don't.
Yeah, and not Stanford either.
That's Butch Jones. That is Butch Jones, I think, isn't it? Arkansas State.
And Ralph, Stanford is not good, but they're not like wretched bad like they were last year.
Yeah, they're better.
They're not Indiana bad.
Stanford's better than I thought they would be. Actually,
yeah,
they looked a lot better than I thought they would.
I got a question for y'all that I was thinking about tonight watching that Florida State and LSU game.
I think we got to put Baylor in there too.
Why didn't they just do a home and home series instead of having the game in Orlando, where you basically have a home crowd at Florida State, and then you go to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Why didn't they just do a home and home series?
Money. That's why.
That would have been more fun.
Of course, it would have been more fun.
Florida State didn't want to travel out of. They didn't want to go to Louisiana, man.
They did last year.
Won last year. They won last year in the Super.
Oh, it was a home and home then.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really a home and home. I mean, it was at neutral site fields, but
that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. Like they didn't go to the home stadium.
I don't like that format. I think they should be home and home series.
Well, there are more teams are going to that home and home now. At least
Alabama did that for years, man.
Yeah, it seems like more teams are moving the home and home to the home and home instead, which is good because that neutral site, whatever, that's not what college wants. It's for money.
I do like the Chick-fil-A kickoff games. They were usually fun because
didn't Alabama do that for years?
Yeah.
Those are different. When you have like the Chick-fil-A kickoff, you can kind of get behind a couple of those here and there. But I mean, then the team needs to say, well, we'll go, like say Oregon went to Georgia like we did last year. Then Georgia says, well, we'll return the favor and go to Oregon in a couple of years and for a home game.
Oh, this is a good comment by Brian Block. Imagine being a Michigan State fan watching Florida State today with Keon.
Oh, yeah. Keon Coleman had that top.
That dude went off.
That's what I'm saying, man. Big Ten got them guys, man. Big Ten got them guys.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's some emotional damage right there. Emotional damage.
Look, he had some great touchdown catches. And
he was the best receiver on the field.
He was.
I don't know. Johnny Wilson is pretty.
The other
Coleman had 3 tutties in that game.
Yeah.
Well, all Michigan has to say when they say Big Ten has those dudes. Remember TCU last year. Let's rapid fire this because we have gone off the rails here. I want to get back on track here. This is a little lesser one, but Purdue loses to Fresno State at home.
Not embarrassing, but like there's
not entirely, but not a good look.
I mean, they lost a lot, man. They lost their coach. They lost pretty much. Look, those teams don't recruit at a level where they just reload. Bottom line, so when they lose a lot of key pieces, I mean, they're not going to be that good.
Kirk Herbstreit picked Fresno State to win that game.
I would have.
Right.
I mean, the spread was close on that game. I didn't think it was a surprise.
Well, and when I looked at the odds on Fresno State Purdue, I saw where the odds said Purdue -4. I said on Monday they should have switched it out to Fresno -4.
You know what's funny is everyone's saying Keon Coleman's a matchup nightmare. He didn't do that good against Michigan last year. That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, according to Mel Tucker, we couldn't cover their receivers.
Peyton Thorne was not a good quarterback. So.
Hey, no, we just got that defense, son.
Okay, Michigan fans, you calm your asses down here. I'm going to get rid of one of you. We didn't even talk about the other one, and this is not good for Darrell. SEC. How does Utah with 2 backup quarterbacks beat Florida?
So I was in Salt Lake City this weekend, and I watched that game, and Utah just looked more physical than Florida did. I mean,
Florida
they just did.
SEC's overrated, man.
This is what happens, Daryl, when the SEC travels.
For the first time since like 1993.
This is why they don't do it. This is why they don't do it.
Yeah, this is why
Yeah, but
Alabama did neutral site games for like what, 15 years?
Well, those were Chick-fil-A kickoff games. They were usually
For 15 years, that's crazy. They must have had a hell of a deal.
The last time Florida traveled outside of the South for a non-conference game,
1991.
Yep, against Syracuse, they lost that game.
Think about that, bro. 32 years.
Well, again, you think
travel
about it
outside
too.
the state, bro.
Again, 24-11 is not like the worst loss in the world, but when you're playing against really the
Well,
two
if you watch the game, it was
backup
an ass whooping.
quarterbacks, the two backup quarterbacks, and they didn't have the starting center, and I think like 5 other starters, and they still lost. Now,
And not only that,
people see what me and Tim have to go through in the pack playing at Utah. That place,
yeah, not only that, it should have been worse.
Yeah.
It should have been way worse. That game was not close.
And I think Utah's a very underrated team. Like they got some dudes. I mean, they got some.
Oh, here's the SEC logic.
Yeah, Utah put it in like cruise control, like the second half. They're like,
yeah, they switching out QBs. They switching out QBs, man. Whoa, look out!
Quarterback hokey pokey.
Florida got whooped by a 2 QB system.
Well, they got Utah's got a wide receiver that I really like.
Money Parts.
I mean, how do you let a backup QB who's never played first play the game 70-yard bomb?
Right?
Like
I was surprised that they actually let him do that. I thought it was just gonna be run, and then he can play action, just drops it. I'm like, oh, okay, Utah's not playing around tonight.
They just knew the SEC. You know, they lost all that luster, so they just went in a game like that.
The real question is, how long does Florida wait before they fire Billy Napier? I mean, the last time they've had coaches, they've just thrown them away after 1 or 2 years, and they don't give their coaches enough time to develop.
I think they'll give them 1 more year after this.
Yeah, they're still paying Dan Mullen, and they're not going to also pay Billy Napier and then have to pay another coach. I don't think they can afford.
They're going to give him 1 year with DJ Lagway.
I think you should give a coach at least 3 to 4 seasons.
They're going to rehire Urban.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeesh. No one wants to touch Urban.
Well, you know, it's funny though, man. Winning does a lot, man. They'll brush us out a lot for like 4 good years. They'll be like, well, we won't look this direction.
Yeah, but after all the stories, 2 of the background stories of like what was happening with the team under Urban, also, like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's a scumbag. We know this.
Yeah, it's like, I don't
3
know.
years of Billy, and they'll be ready to hire anybody, including Urban, because people forget that. Like Jordan says, money or winning is everything, especially in college football. They won't care. 3 years from now, they'll forget about it. Yeah, ESPN might drudge it up for 5 minutes, but it won't last because he'll go in there and he'll be Urban assault vehicle football, and
yeah, he gonna be Urban. Kick me in my legs while I'm stretching Urban.
I think Florida's going to get
to the kicker too.
Next year, I called it right here. Florida will have Marcus Freeman as their coach.
Oh my God!
Hey, you gotta admit that was hilarious. That Urban went to the NFL and thought he could do the same thing to grown men that he did to college dudes. I mean, that's just funny.
Hey, forgot about talk. I wish is Connor here today because the Beavs.
That was the next on the topic. That was the next on the topic was for Connor and for Clint, our resident Beaver fans.
Oh,
not a lot of people necessarily watch the game, but the Beavers went and did what they do. They played Beaver ball against San Jose State, and DJ didn't look too bad. Didn't look too bad at all. I mean, really.
He did very well, man. I mean, I was impressed by the performance in his first game as a Beaver, man.
I mean, he's better making those like quick reads and all that. Like, they're playing to his strengths up in there in Corvallis.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd be very happy with if I was a Beaver fan seeing that performance. I mean, I don't know the competition, the level of the competition. But I mean, man, I thought it was a good man. I thought Beavers. I thought they looked good. I look like a complete team.
They might beat USC. Do they play USC?
No,
they don't play
Competition,
USC.
no.
Damn shame.
The competition handed USC 28 points last week. The Beavs this week held them to 17. What's that say?
And neither.
It says USC's defense is trash and Lincoln Riley's allergic to defense. That's what it says.
As Tim, I like how you guys do this while Tim's gone. But
Lincoln Riley needs
we gotta get Jets in
an
when we can.
EpiPen for defense.
I was hoping Jordan would be on tonight because, of course, as the Clemson guy, he would give more insight if he watched the Beaver game. Because it was funny because some of the throws that DJ made were great. Then there was those couple really stupid ones, and even the announcers were like, "And there's the Clemson thing again." So he still has a little, but it was his first game in this system, live action. I think he will improve. He looked pretty comfortable. That O-line, at least against San Jose State,
they
held
dominated
amazingly.
Yeah, they look better than USC's O-line. That's crazy.
Yeah, they dominated that game, really.
The announcers were counting. They were like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, DJ has all day back there. Just all day to look around the field.
Yeah, they were just shredding their interior defensive line with chunk plays all day, too, with Martinez.
Well, and they just
He
played
was
Beaver
getting
ball.
10 yards of carry darn near.
And they just played Beaver ball. They ran the ball. That's what Oregon State does. I mean, they run the ball. And there was something else, which is there was a comment here. I should have started that really quickly. It's not too far up. Well, actually, there's a lot of chat. Exactly to Chang's the other point. With the Beavers win today, the Pac-12 is the only undefeated conference in non-con games this season so far. Everyone else has at least 2 non-conference losses.
Big Ten only has 1, right? Non-conference.
No,
Well,
Purdue,
technically,
Purdue and
No, just Purdue.
Indiana.
is it just Purdue?
Indiana lost to another Big Ten team, so you can't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
technically, the Pac-12 is the Big Ten now. So really, I mean, really, your wins are our wins.
Well, actually, we're equally Big 12
Next year.
slash Big 12 / Big 10, technically.
Why don't they just
I
change
mean-
it to Big 18?
Still, we're the only.
They don't got the
undefeated-
same
We're
range.
the only undefeated conference, right?
Let me
Yeah,
look
Big
at
Ten killing it. I agree.
because Nebraska had the loss, but that was against another. That was against Minnesota. Then you have Indiana got lost against Ohio State.
We must be forgetting someone because even ESPN had that stat up earlier. So I don't know if that
Purdue
were
beat
also wrong.
Fresno. Oh wait! No. Illinois beat Toledo. I don't see another. There's not. Maybe was there
Okay,
one in
their
week
stat.
0?
Their stat was wrong then. Their stat must have been wrong then.
They might have been saying overall
Maybe.
whether they're
Well, that's not a fair
non-conference or
stat
not.
then. That's not a fair stat then because Big Ten played each other.
Yeah, that is true on a couple of games.
The Pac-12 is still undefeated. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
At this point in time, the Pac-12 is still
But
undefeated.
I mean, the Pac-12 also had how many out of conference? How many out of conference Power 5 teams did they play? Wasn't it 2?
At this moment,
Florida?
I believe it was Florida and TCU.
I don't know who's got a worse O-line, Florida or Ohio State.
Oh, man.
Florida's much worse.
Oof.
Florida was bad.
What's up?
They got some kids and they couldn't open a hole for nothing.
Can we get? Why is there so many Michigan people around here now? But amazing blue guy. It's great to see you as always. But for the boys, hey Jackson, what was the answer to that trivia question? I forgot. Were you guys doing secret trivia? I don't know what that relates
What
to
is
at
he
all.
I
asking?
don't either.
I don't know what that relates to at all. So that's what I'm like.
It's a
Hey,
country in the
Jackson, are you
Balkans.
online betting again?
It's a country in the Balkans.
Nope, not yet. But
Uh,
I will say though, it's going to be amazing. Looking forward to week 2 next week.
Well, that's where we're about to get into, because we're going to start getting to a little more heavy hitting games coming up. And I think everyone could say the first one is, Texas at Bama. Is Texas back? Is Bama slipping, or is it all just a myth?
I think this game's a 50-50 for me, man. I don't know.
I got Milroe going wild.
What do you think the fallout will be if Texas wins that game?
Well, Milroe's going to go from Milroe to Mildew.
I got Alabama winning 34-14.
Alabama 34-14.
I'm right on his level.
I don't have a final score all set yet, but I will have it ready in a few days.
Oh, Jackson advertising for his channel.
That's fine.
Step back.
That's
All right, I got Texas. 28 to Bama 16.
Keep in mind.
Mildew throws 4 picks.
Keep in mind now, Nick Saban has more national championships and losses than Bryant Denny. So you're
Well, I don't like Brian. I don't like Brian. Whatever you said, so it don't matter to me.
I didn't know we were making score predictions right now, but I don't know where that came from all of a sudden. But
Here's where I'm at with Texas. Texas is they have consistently underperformed, and now everybody's expecting them to underperform, and I'm wondering if they're actually going to finally fool everybody again and actually play good.
Well, it's a night game at Bryant Denny. Alabama feels like their back's against the wall and they got something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I think we go in there and get it done. And, our offensive line looks a lot more improved than what it was last year. Our defensive line looks better. We ain't got no problems in our secondary, really. Malachi Moore got hurt. We'll see what happens with his injury. But we really don't know
if your O-line's that much better, though. We got to wait till the
What happens if Texas loads the box on you? Will you be able to pass the ball down the field on a team?
You see Milroe throw that thing?
That's what I'm wondering.
Milroe threw that thing the first week.
He just showed that he can throw the ball. So,
I think he's going to throw 4 picks, though. I think he's going to go up against a defense with the pulse. I think he's going to make some bad decisions.
It is different competition, and Texas didn't look great against Rice. But again, I think like a lot of teams, Texas. You can't lose to food. Texas was looking at Bama. Texas was looking ahead a little bit, I think.
Maybe.
Well,
no doubt. Hey, Bama man. Quick question.
Which one?
That's lesser.
Oh, you got 2 Bama man. Oh, shoot, the one in the middle.
Oh, the Bama man.
Bama man 2. Hey, Michigan produced. You know how Nick Saban got 7 rings? Michigan produced the guy that got 7 rings too, and those 7 rings are even more impressive than Nick Saban's 7 rings. His name's Tom Edward Patrick Brady.
Yeah, but that's a whole different. That's not even.
Hey, we produced him. You know what I'm saying? He came from us.
Yeah, he might have came from y'all, but he didn't. That's not.
We gave him the secret sauce.
Well, I know this next game will be a hot topic because this one's gonna. No one here is a fan of either team, so it's gonna be a trash talking session. I'm gonna let you guys roll. You guys have been doing. You guys have just been off the wall all night. So, but T. Higgins again. Thank you for another super chat. T. Higgins is a badass. I hope conferences would eventually trade schools if they were interested in leaving. The ACC will trade BC and Syracuse for West Virginia and Arizona State. Why Arizona State? That seems random.
Why would you want Arizona State?
West Virginia.
The thing is, I would say take Arizona State because they're a huge market.
Yeah, take that team that can't even play in a bowl game because of a bowl ban. Yeah, take them.
I mean, I could see switching them for Boston College, but Syracuse is kind of at least it has a big market area. It's New York, so
no, they just want to go to those ASU parties. I see the scheme here.
I get West Virginia, regionality right there. I get that. I was like, Arizona State.
ASU parties. He's exactly right. That is why they want the Arizona State, because I have been to some ASU parties.
Yeah, I don't know what's allowed to be said on here, but they trying to look at some. They trying to go to the candy shop, so to speak.
Fair enough. Jesus, don't shoot the guy who asks questions. That's all I was doing. Asking questions. The hot, maybe the hottest game of the week. Who cares about Alabama and Texas? Texas A&M at Miami.
Oh, that's going to be a good one, man.
The non-bolus teams of last season matching back up again. Cristobal versus Fisher. Who will get it done?
Jim Fisher sends Mario Cristobal wishing that he was going back to Eugene.
No, the SEC is going to lose their third major out-of-conference game.
Jimbo can't quite get it done on the road anytime he's in a big game on the road. But every time there's a big game at home, he gets it done. But in this case, Texas A&M being on the road at Miami, I'm not liking
the SEC's looking terrible if they lose that. I mean, whoa.
Yeah. But, I mean.
Yeah, because Tyler Van Dyke is not very good.
So I got a question about Miami, though. I don't follow Miami too much, not anymore, anyways. I don't live in Florida anymore, and doesn't Miami have didn't they get a ton of transfers and talent pulled in? I mean, I know they were supposed to be a lot better last year, according to the talent rankings. What about? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like, are they better this year?
I mean, they have. I mean, their coordinators last year just weren't very good. I mean, they had Josh Gaddis, and you guys know Josh Gaddis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, man.
And then Kevin Steele. So, I don't know. I think they'll be like a 7-5 team this year. I don't think they'll be as bad.
So, what what prediction? Who do you think? I mean, Texas A&M. I mean, what would you give a prediction on that game? What would you give a point spread?
I'm going to go with what I want the narrative to be. So I'm going Miami in a landslide because I just want that narrative of the SEC just 0-3 in major out-of-conference games or whatever it is. I just want that, man. I need that.
Do you guys know what it's like in Florida when Miami wins?
It's probably like ASU. That's why the ACC. That's why the ACC wants Arizona State.
If Texas A&M beats Miami down there in Caneville this weekend, they're going to be calling for Cristobal's head. Flat out. If they're not, they're insane. But
it's only year 2, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like you said, Florida, Miami. Those people are used to winning down there, and they're going to be.
When's the last time
all
Miami
this talk?
Miami
hasn't been good since 05, right? That was the last time they're any good.
Yeah, but that's still. I mean, they've got 3 national titles.
They have 5 technically.
Yeah.
Okay, 5. I mean, they're used to winning. They're not used to losing for very long. You already had.
They're kind of like Texas.
Losing.
You know, Texas got that weird arrogance about them. Where we always back. We back, and then they just crash the plane.
Texas had Mac Brown for 30 years. Yeah, what seemed like 30 years.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But I hope A&M beats Miami because I can't stand Cristobal that much, and that's just where I've got to be.
I do have to apologize to Jason O in the chat. Cristobal just got there. Well, Cristobal's first year at Oregon. I mean, he was the co-offensive coordinator, which I don't think he really did any play calling. But then he went still 7-6. with a hurt Justin Herbert, and then he won the Rose Bowl. Well, let's see, Miami. Please go Bulls.
This is year 2.
So are you wanting Miami to lose because of Cristobal? Is that
No.
because he used to be?
Because of Miami. No, because of Miami fans.
Miami fans are bad.
They annoy me.
They're hopeful. I will tell you this.
No, I want A&M to lose because of the real. Just because of the real.
I mean,
Just
I
because of
wish
one
both
fan.
teams could lose. I do wish
true.
both teams could lose.
The real one single fan is making me want the SEC to crash and burn.
Fair. You know, that is fair.
Hearing SEC, or Miami's back, same as Texas back. Oh my God, it's such a that's a conundrum right there. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Well, you know, Darrell needs that narrative because he's a Kentucky fan. So he needs that narrative of, oh man, we just losing all the greatest teams ever, man. We just, we can't get up because we're in such an elite conference. So everybody's so good.
Well, they are good, but
that is not correct. 2 Changs. It was 7-6 or 8. Was it 9-4 his first year? I think it was 7-6 or 8-5 his first year. We won the Red Box Bowl against Michigan State 7-6. A barn burner of a game, 7-6 against Michigan State.
I remember that.
Oh. Yeah, it was a barn burner.
Well, in 2018 they were 9-4, so they did.
Were they
27?
9-4?
I
Okay.
believe 2017 was his first year, right?
No,
that was Willie Taggart.
2017.
That was Taggart.
2017 was the only year Willie Taggart as head coach. Then he left for Florida State.
So
Mario Cristobal became the head coach of the Oregon Donald Ducks in 2018.
My bad. Changs is correcting me. Taggart went 7-6. Cristobal took over at the bowl game, but he lost to Boise State. He's correct. He's correct. I'm not Googling here. I'm doing too many things to Changs. I can't use Google. I can't. I have too many things going on right now.
Utah.
Well, I remember that first loss of the 2018 season was to Stanford. Yeah, they were basically first down away from winning that game, but then they fumbled the ball.
Yeah, we fumbled the ball. That was a miserable experience.
That was the last year. Stanford.
Wait, are you a Stanford fan?
No.
Who?
Who's your team? Top left? Is it top left?
Me?
Yeah, you.
He's talking to Jackson.
Oh, I didn't even see your shirt.
no.
Oh, you
Did you see the ugly
yeah. Good point. I should have paid attention to all that green you got going on.
Okay, here, guys. I have this is what I think is shocking. I'm just looking up Utah, Baylor. Utah's got a 6-point spread right now.
Yeah, that's
over Baylor.
Man, I'm putting money on Utah tonight, man.
Yeah, that was our next game we were going to talk about, and until
That's
I
crazy.
really realized Baylor lost the way they did, I was like, I thought that would be a good game, but I'm like, no, Utah might have rising back.
I mean, I wonder if because I'm looking at ESPN, I wonder if they're up to date or because that's. I mean, if it's a 6-point spread,
Utah should,
man, that seems like a
roll.
bet there.
Utah should roll.
I'm going for
I got
Baylor
Utah.
because if Baylor wins, it's going to make the SEC look even worse.
It's true. That is true. I mean, I'll give Baylor again. Dave Moran doesn't seem like the kind of coach that looks ahead to other matchups, but when you have that and then Utah, a team does look ahead a little bit, but Utah should roll in this one. Well, if you want to talk about the SEC looking bad, we also have Auburn traveling to Cal.
Oh,
I hope
weird.
Cal.
That's a weird game matchup.
Look at that. Another team taking a player from the Big Ten and making him a starter. Ain't that weird?
that's gonna be a fun
Cal, I
SEC
really want Cal to win
ACC
that game.
matchup.
I think Auburn-
Isn't Peyton
true.
Thorne the quarterback?
Yep.
Of Auburn, yes.
Yeah. I think that Auburn will win this game convincingly, even though I would be perfectly fine if Cal mopped the floor with them.
Holy cow!
Cal looked actually pretty good. I thought Cal at North
Cal
Texas
looked
would be
good.
a lot more
I mean, it was
competitive,
against-
but they put up 56 points. I can't even remember the last time Cal put up, maybe with Jared Goff and Sonny Dykes. Cal hasn't put up that many points ever, almost, since at least 6-7 years. So, like, Okay, Cal actually is playing offense now. That's a change under Wilcox.
I hate Auburn just as much as I hate Ohio State. So
Man,
Everybody hates Ohio State, man. Who don't hate? Let's be real.
Yeah.
Who don't hate Ohio
That's with the
State?
territory being an Alabama fan. You have to hate Auburn.
Yeah, but who don't hate Ohio State? That might be the most hated team in all sports. Let's be real.
I got a fun question for y'all. Who do y'all think was the worst hire? Willie Taggart at Florida State or Brian Harsin at Auburn?
Well, okay. I think Harsin isn't a bad coach, but Auburn just screwed him over. Taggart's just incompetent.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think Harsin kind of had everything thrown at him in a negative light, while Taggart got given the keys, and he did nothing with it.
Yeah, I think it's Taggart, 100%.
Yeah, he was a disaster at Florida State, and then when he tries to
he had a
rejuvenate,
losing record as a head coach.
Yeah.
Wait, who's worse, Butch Jones or Willie Taggart?
Ooh.
Well, the only reason that they hired him is because he coached.
I think Taggart's
Bobby
worse.
Bowden.
They're both bad, but I think Taggart's worse.
But the only reason Taggart got hired,
Butch at least won a little bit. Like he had like 2 9-1 seasons. Taggart never even had that.
Well, Taggart got hired because he was coached under Bobby Bowden at Florida State, and I think that's the reason they gave him a shot.
Yeah, it was his dream. It was his dream job, and he was turning Oregon around. So they're like, "Hey, we need a coach, Taggart. You'd be great."
Yeah, Taggart. I mean,
is Taggart part of Jim Harbaugh's tree or no?
Yeah, he's part of Harbaugh's tree. Then he went to Western Kentucky. Then he went to South Florida.
Hey, it's hard. It's hard to mimic the king.
Yeah.
Well, how about?
And then he went to Florida Atlantic and got fired from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a disaster.
Yeah, Taggart's worse than Butch Jones.
Oh, that's just brutal.
That is brutal.
Did
That is
anybody
pretty
watch
brutal.
that press conference of Butch Jones from yesterday on Twitter? Like, he was blaming the players. He was blaming everybody but himself after that loss to Oklahoma. I was like, that is not leadership material. That's just not leadership.
I think that West Virginia should hire Brian Harsin. I think he could work there.
Maybe. He would be a good pickup.
I mean, like, he did good at Boise State, but the only time he led Boise State to near Sitz Bowl was his first year. That's pretty much it. He couldn't quite get it done, but he is better than Butch Jones. I'll give him that.
Well, I mean, I hate it West Virginia. I hate it for what's his name? No, I'm blanking on his name. The head coach of West Virginia, Brown.
Neil Brown. Yeah, he was fantastic at Troy, but he's been meh at West
His
Virginia.
successor at Troy's been doing a better job than him.
Yeah. John Shire, yeah.
But it's a different level when you go one area to some, and a lot of them do fail when you go from a Power 5. Well,
I mean, I thought that the hire of Scott Frost at Nebraska was a home run until that just turned into a shit show.
Yeah, no one saw that going that bad.
That's what happens when you have
but Nebraska's cursed. Hold on, Nebraska's cursed now.
Well, that's what happens when you have a quarterback named Martinez there for literally like 15 years running.
I genuinely think Nebraska's cursed. After that opener this year, where they lost in the same exact fashion that pretty much every Scott Frost loss was, I'm convinced.
It's like Red Sox against the Yankees.
It's hard to completely change the culture after, like, in this first year.
They literally lost the game where look how they lost that game. They're trying to ice the game. They fumble it. The other team ends up scoring the ball. They have a chance to win the game. Throws an interception. They lose on a field goal.
Well, this sounds like a certain game I remember against two in-state rivals where it was a 99% winning percentage. All you had to do was
Are you talking about
the ball?
Yeah, you don't remind me.
It does happen. It just happened on Nebraska a lot more.
That's one game. Nebraska's done this like 25 times in the last how many years?
I'm just saying.
I could watch that moment for like a whole hour, and I would enjoy it. I would enjoy every second of that.
Well,
I still
if we
can't
wanna-
believe that happened to this day,
If
man.
we want to keep ripping on the SEC, what do you think about? I think this is actually might be a really interesting game. Ole Miss at Tulane.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
I think
you know,
that
we're
might be
gonna
that's a
good
sleeper.
game.
That's a sleeper game, I think.
This
Yeah,
week,
I mean,
so
Ole
much
Miss
better
has.
this week.
It
Yeah,
sounds like
Ole Miss
I'm
has-
hearing a lot of SEC losses this week, man.
I think
We'll
that game's
see.
a toss up for me, honestly.
I think so.
Alabama's gonna lose.
Maybe.
Texas A&M's gonna lose. Ole Miss might lose. I ain't gonna go that far with that one. But
Well, you're just an SEC hater, from what I can tell.
I'm just, hey, look, man. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing, man. They're starting to really. Big Ten's taking all that TV money, taking all these teams.
It's okay. It's okay. Just admit you hate that. You hate the SEC. We can just move on.
Hey, man, I'm not a hater, man. I'm a lover.
SEC.
I ain't a hater, man. I'm a lover, man. I don't got hate in my body.
I think they'll cover the 6 points. Tulane. I think they'll cover.
That's not bad. 6 points. That's it.
Well, it's kind of a toss up for me, but because I mean, on the one hand, you got Michael Pratt at Tulane. He's a straight up baller, and on the other hand, you got that Ole Miss offense. They're really good as well.
They gotta stop the run. Tulane's gotta stop the run.
Hey, they got Pete. They got Pete Golden as their defensive coordinator. He can screw that up for them.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, if you can put a stop to Quinshon Judkins, you'll be good to go.
Man, Tulane would have been a fun school to go to.
Oh yeah, I mean New Orleans. Like, just go. You're just partying. You're drunk all the time. They don't even grade. The teachers are drunk. They don't. The professors. They don't grade anything. They're like, cool. You hand me a piece.
Man, that's the opposite of it. That's the opposite of Michigan, man. We're all high class at Michigan. I mean, Michigan's just all about, you know.
Well,
What? So y'all just dress up and then drink.
Yeah. You look, man. Michigan. It's not just about, you know, we don't play school. We play football. We actually, you know.
We're all high class. Can't you tell?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't see y'all winning any championships. So.
That's all right. That's all right, man. We realize that, you know, there's things after life. You know, there's a higher order to things, man. We just got this scholarship superiority that we just got to uphold.
Joe brings up a good point here. This is what I rooted for in the offseason before the debacle of the Pac 12 slash now 2. Is I thought just get Tulane. Screw it.
So
just grab them.
I think they even brought that up in the game tonight, the FSU game. Who would go to the Pac-12 if they like somehow managed to save the conference? Tulane.
It's the Pac-2, Pac-4 right now.
Pac-2.
It's a Pac-2. No, it's a Pac-2
It's just Washington State and Oregon.
And that's all it is. So they were talking about the merger with the Mountain West during the Oregon State San Jose.
Might as well become a Group of 5 conference at that point.
And at that point, what do you become? Just the Mountain West and have those two, or do you try to rebrand it as like they came up with? The broadcasters came up with the Mountain Pack, and I was like, oh, that has a nice ring to it. Actually, I kind of like that.
Yeah, but that's not a Power 5 conference at that point. That's a Group of 5.
That's a whole different. Yeah,
I know. Do you name it? That's the thing. I mean, do you want to try to keep the perception as a Power 5 conference?
They can't. They don't got the powerhouses.
There's a verbiage to it. Yeah, they were talking about legal things, and it was like, that's way beyond.
Yeah.
Well, with
any of our comprehensions in the sense of the legal analytics of the playoffs and the wordage, and I was like, oh, okay, you guys are going in deep in this on the compensation and the analysts. Like, damn. Hey,
Will, you're a Notre Dame fan?
Yeah, that's my team.
Oh yeah, you're gonna whoop up on Ohio State, man. Let me tell you,
I
you're gonna whoop up on them.
I think we look a lot better than them now, but we gotta our defense.
That game ain't gonna be close, man. That game ain't gonna be close.
I hope so, man.
Well, what do you guys think about, especially the Big Ten people here, the potential revenge game, Wisconsin at Wazoo this week?
Ooh, that's gonna be.
That's an interesting game.
Wisconsin didn't look that good, so I feel like Wazoo definitely could win. What's the line on that? I'm looking at it.
I have not seen the line. I'm not a betting guy, so yeah. I
Wisconsin minus 4.5.
I'll take Wisconsin, man.
Close.
Big Ten is just, we're rising up the ranks. We're about to be the number one conference. So
I mean, that's a field goal, basically.
Yeah,
that's a close game.
I can't wait to see what Cam Ward brings out at home. I mean, that's going to be fun.
This is the thing about, like, the way I feel about, like, Wisconsin, I felt about, it's not, I mean, the majority of the time when you have a new coaching staff, it's, it doesn't end up, you don't end up seeing success instantly. I mean, normally you take a little dip before you start.
Did you say instantly or instinctively?
Instantly.
Okay.
I mean, that's rare. It's more the.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't like, maybe I'm just like buzzed, and I was like, wait, did I just get a lag?
Did Paul Chris get hired somewhere else?
Ooh, I don't know.
Nah, he's chilling out.
I think Cam Ward's going to have to win this game for the Cougs. I feel like he's going to have to make some big throws.
Well, his defense might hold up better than expected because even last year they held up a lot better, I think, than anyone thought.
Oh, he's an analyst at Texas now. Paul Chris is.
I'm gonna take Wisconsin and blow out. I think Wisconsin's gonna blow the doors off them.
I'm not so sure that game's going to be a blowout.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, no, look, they're gonna represent the Big Ten to the fullest. They're gonna go in there, right? They're gonna go in there.
Okay.
But think of what
Luke Fickell gonna be like, look. I know you dealt with something else last year. Well, guess what? There's a new sheriff in town.
Well, think of Wazoo. Think of Wazoo going to be trying to stick it to the Big Ten to go, hey, you didn't think we're good enough?
Yeah, you know that 13-0 record that you keep talking about? Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, it's going to be gone eventually because also.
No, it's going to be gone in that game.
Well. There, I know, but I'm also saying it's going to be gone this weekend, no matter what, because Tim's gone, but USC plays Stanford this week, so they have their early conference game with Stanford.
Oh, so you saying oh yeah, that's a good point. So Stanford going win.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Stanford looked way better than I thought they would. They looked a lot better. They were tossing it all over the yard on Hawaii. I was surprised.
when you were allergic to defense like Lincoln Riley, man, you don't know what to expect.
Lincoln, man, on defense. I remember when they played, when he was at Oklahoma and they played Alabama in Miami, and that year, like, they had the worst defense, like, in the country as far as pass defense.
Oh, that was when they had Kyler Murray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a waste.
As the Tony here, if Stanford wins, you'll laugh. Why? Stanford's a pain in everyone's ass all the time in the Pac-12, no matter how bad they are. We know this too well.
That's
LFG asked, was the Big 12 fell already a topic tonight?
It was briefly, yeah. It was. We
there's
covered a bunch of those teams.
Well, I said from the get-go when all this realignment started happening that the Pac-12 was going to fall apart.
Well,
the
yeah,
Big 12 fail.
Here's my question about all this, right? People talk about how deep the SEC is. There's no question that the Big Ten is going to be the deepest conference now. There's just no question. I mean, they're going to have Oregon.
With the additions? Yeah.
I mean, there's just no question that they're going to be the deepest, most talented conference.
I mean, I'm just saying they're gonna. I mean, it's gonna up them. It's gonna.
I mean, think about it, bro. Penn State, Michigan, USC, Oregon, Ohio State. I mean, we're talking like deep, like. I mean, the SEC is going to be like, damn, like we really lag behind here.
Well, we got Oklahoma. We'll have Oklahoma, Alabama.
Well, they have Oklahoma and Texas added, and they're already great. So, I mean, it's still, I will see. I mean, I don't.
Then I'll tell you what, y'all can take Clemson. We'll take Florida State. And
you can, no one could take anyone from the ACC because that grant of rights.
I think all that legal stuff will be worked out eventually, and I think both of them teams will end up leaving the conference. I don't know. The lawyers know how to do all that. I mean, I think all that will eventually be.
I've read into it, man. I don't know how they're going to get out of that. It's still like 2036.
Yeah, it takes a bunch. It takes a I think they said it takes 6 to 7 teams to leave the conference together and break it, or if they add more teams like they just did with Cal and Stanford, they just get an increase. So I think they said they have to have like 6 to 8 teams.
Yeah, they're not getting out of that
to break it.
And even then, the other part of this is if those schools get out, why would they want to go to the SEC when they could go to the Big Ten and get paid $80 to $100 million? Like, why would they even? I mean, come on.
Well, the SEC would get a bump too, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I read the ESPN has no problem. The ESPN doesn't really care to put more money into the SEC. I mean, that's just the way it is. They're fine with them being where they're at.
Well, I think what makes sense eventually if that happens. If
I think they'd rather get. Hey, let's go to the Big Ten. They're going to be the best conference anyway. Like, let's get paid $80 to $100 million.
Man, you're making us sound as bad as the SEC guys.
At this point, I think most of us would agree the ACC is the next one to topple.
And when it does topple, I think what makes sense is
unless ND joins, but I don't think Jack Schwarber.
Oh yeah, we'll take ND too, man. We'll take all of them.
I think NBC will talk. They're going to try to talk Notre Dame into joining the Big Ten. That's what's going to happen.
I think the Big Ten's a better fit for Notre Dame.
If the ACC falls, of course Notre Dame's just going to join the Big Ten, but it always depends on the money. Because why would at this moment, why would Notre Dame share their money with other people like the ACC? They don't join the ACC because they would have to share that revenue. So why would they join as a full member with football?
The main benefit of them joining the Big Ten, honestly, well, not really because not really with the 12-team playoff. I actually take that back. I was gonna say if it was a 14 playoff, it would make sense so that they could have a better chance of getting in the playoff. But now that it's a 12-team playoff, I don't even think that matters.
Who brought up realignment? I'm talking. We actual games.
We were talking about.
I don't want to talk about realignment anymore.
It came up to the ACC crumbling, and I don't know where it went. So what was new? I was going to talk Nebraska at Colorado, but I think I don't even need to talk about that one. I don't think at this point.
Oh man, that'll be a good one.
Colorado's going to destroy Nebraska.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's at Colorado. Nebraska.
Here's what I think is going to happen, man. I think Nebraska. I think they're going to be up 3 points, 3 minutes to go. I think they're going to fumble it to an interception. I think they're going to lose the game with the last second touchdown.
If that happens, everyone will just be dying.
They are cursed if that happens.
Like, are you absolutely kidding me? How do you? Or it'll be like Michigan when you just have to punt the football.
Scott Frost lost them twice, which is crazy. They lost to him with Tucker and the coach before Tucker.
So it's a 3-point spread in Colorado's favor. Colorado's got a negative 3 points.
I got to do a Colorado-Utah parlay.
But ESPN analytics gives Nebraska a 58% chance to win.
Oh, yeah, this sounds like a classic. They're up 3 points. All they got to do is run the ball.
or kick a punt it away.
Oh, man, I hope. The heartache of the Nebraska fans. If there's anybody in the chat, I am sorry because I know that's got to be heartbreaking.
We are laughing at your pain.
I mean, I still can't believe how many times it happened. Even Michigan, right, in last year, right? Nebraska could have won that game. Or no, that was 2021.
It was the year.
That was 2021.
They should have won that game. They should have won that game. And
somehow they get the ball ripped out of his arm and they lose the game. I'm just like, I'm not even worried when I play Nebraska. I'm not even worried. I'm like, if it's a 1-possession game, like I'm not even worried about it. Yeah,
I want Nebraska to win that game, but I just think that Colorado is going to be a little bit too much for them to overcome.
We're going to find out. It's coming.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I think that's going to tell us a lot more about things about about a lot of teams than I think that's going to be a very revealing game.
I think everyone on here knows that for the most part, minus being a Duck fan and a Pac-12 person, I'm pretty unbiased in the sense of I don't talk Oregon a lot. But Spaz is here, and he wants to run his mouth about Oregon
do
coming
it.
up this new week. So, Spaz, you have the floor. You know what? Hear you. Spaz, you know what? You get the floor. Run your mouth about Oregon and Texas Tech this week. Run your mouth.
Oh, no. All I got to say is I watched that Wyoming game, and I was like, wow, nice start. Looks like we're going to have a tough test against Tech next week. And then I watched the last 3 quarters and was like, Tyler Shuck is exactly why Oregon let him go in the portal and didn't try to persuade him differently, because he just cannot lead a team for some reason. He gets going and he makes one bad move or one dumb move and it gets that other team back in it. And look out, man. I mean, obviously they're going to be better, I think, in Lubbock. But I was thoroughly impressed with offense, defense, 2 penalties the whole game. I mean, we really I was shocked that we played that good of a game. Again, granted, it was Portland State, but I really think that Lanning's going to have us ready, and I think I think we might win this game by 14, maybe more. Depends on how bad of a game Tyler Shuck has, because he did kind of run his mouth about a month ago about saying how he was going to take it to us. I don't think so, not after what I saw last week against not a very good Wyoming team. So, Tyler, good luck to you.
Didn't they lose? Did Texas Tech lose?
Yes.
Yes, they lost in 2 overtimes. They scored 20 points offensively in the entire game until overtime, I believe it was.
Yeah.
What's the point spread in the Oregon Texas Tech game?
I'm sure
It's
changed
6.5.
now.
I think it's
6.5 for Oregon.
It's 6.
I think
6?
6.5 is a little too low for right now.
Ooh, did you see the super chat?
Yeah. Well, and Spaz lives in Oregon still. So do Oregon fans still wear Birkenstocks, Spaz?
No. Maybe in Eugene.
Yeah, Shady Canes probably. Slim Shady Canes probably does, but he's a bitter Miami fan. That's why. I do agree with you, and like I think I've said this the whole time. I'm like, that's going to be a game against Tech, and I'll be there next weekend in Lubbock, cheering on the guys. But after them looking ahead potentially to Oregon and what they showed at Wyoming, I'm not near as concerned at this moment. I'm not near as concerned as I was like a week ago.
Hey Ben,
Exactly.
Ben, since we're on the Oregon subject, I'd like to share a quick story with y'all about Oregon that and I'll tell you how this came to be. So, did you know that the Oregon and Auburn national championship game almost did not happen?
No, depending on why.
Okay, so this is what happened. So, I live here in Alabama, and one of my dad's friends from high school, she married a guy who worked for the University of Auburn as their transportation manager, who like transported all the equipment to the games and all that kind of stuff. Well, they had they were on their way to Arizona, which is where that game was played, and one of the trucks broke down, and they were literally in talks with the NCAA about what they were going to do because their truck had broke down. Well, luckily, where they had broke down at, he happened to know a guy in the area where they were driving through from years back, and it was in the middle of the night. Their truck broke down, and he didn't know if this guy would answer when he called him. He calls this guy at 2:00 in the morning, and he drives over there and gets it and fixes the problem with the 18-wheeler, and they were able to get there, but they almost had to figure something else out with the NCAA, and he said it's possibly could have been that game would have been delayed.
I mean, you think about it, with all the transport of all the teams that are upcoming, especially with relining, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, you think every team is going to run into these types of issues, so that I'm not surprised that would happen.
But ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Like how how something like that, things that we don't think about in day-to-day operations of college football, for something like that to happen where they didn't know what they were going to do as far as that. But luckily, he had that one connection.
Wasn't Cam Newton supposed to go to Florida when Urban was there?
He did, and then he
did.
He had to leave the team because of whatever.
Man, that was
either academic or field issues or something.
Because of academics, and also he couldn't beat out Tim Tebow.
Yeah, and then he's openly said he wanted to play at Oregon, but we didn't need a quarterback, so he never got like a.
Man, you probably regret that, huh?
No, fuck Cam Newton. Oh, sorry. Language. Sorry, Mark.
Beep.
Beep.
Sorry, I was late.
Mark has already been on all night, so it's all right. But yeah, I mean, look at all the travel. That's how weird it was. Is that people don't think about it sometimes and realize how much it takes to travel to a game. Because the team, you go, well, they fly. Look at the guy driving the truck with all the equipment and the gear and all that stuff. There's a lot of logistics to football. Have to come into account.
Hey, I'm gonna get out of here. Before I go, just gotta say, man, look, man, we can't be stopped. We can't be stopped. Nothing gonna stop us, man. 3 Heisman finalists, national championship, 15-0. Yeah, man. I might get bored, man. I might be sleeping certain quarters, man. Just boredom. These games ain't gonna be close.
Oh no, you can't. You know what the best Michigan game is?
Huh?
You know what the best Michigan game is?
Blowout
The next
game.
one. The next
That's
one.
true too. That's true too, man. But when you're so dominant, it feels like you playing like Bishop Sycamore every week. You just gotta. You get a little bored, man. The excitement starts to drift away. So, I can't wait, man. Hope you guys have a good night, man.
Go blue, blue.
We might have 4. You know what? We might be all Michigan Heisman finalists. There might be no other team in there. Anyways, man, have a good night.
You're funny as hell, man.
He's trolling.
Okay, says the guy with Tony Romo is his background.
Like bold projections right there. Bold projections. Jesus.
Did that guy not have what looked like a Tony Romo jersey in his picture?
That was JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Looked like a Tony Romo throwback.
You need to switch it to a free Harbaugh shirt, though.
I got to tell you that I like that JJ McCarthy kid. I watched him in high school, and to see what he's been able to do at Michigan is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be a free Harbaugh picture. It should be free the khakis. Free the khakis. That'd be very good.
What's everybody's takeaway from the future Big 12 game next Saturday, late night on Fox Sports 1 between Oklahoma State and Arizona State?
I don't know. I think Okie State will roll. I hope Arizona State wins, but
I have to agree with that. But at the same time, ASU looked good in the first half until that 3-hour delay or whatever it was, and then they came out just like meh. So who knows what Dillingham, as Spaz and I know about Dillingham, who knows what he maybe has up his sleeve waiting for that one. But Oklahoma State looked pretty good in their game. So I don't even have a take on that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I didn't watch any of the Arizona game. Just from what I've seen from this box scores, I was not thinking Arizona State was going to win. talking about the Sun Devils are playing Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sun Devils looked pretty sloppy, but I think it had everything to do with the dust storm that was going on at the time.
Yeah, when you think about that, you just think about that. I wonder how many other like external factors really affect the games. If you just think about that, it's just something that.
It's hard to keep a team motivated for that long during a pause, especially week one. That's why I say like it's hard to keep a team motivated every week against like quote unquote a lesser opponent. It's hard to keep them motivated. So it's like.
Well, forget you guys that live in the northern state. Do you live in Ben, Michigan? Ben, do you live in Michigan?
I used to. I grew up in Michigan.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how big of an adjustment do you think it is? Let's say for a kid who's been recruited from, let's say, the state of Florida, to go and play games in Michigan when it gets later in the season where it's so cold. How big of a effect do you think that has on players?
Okay, so I don't think maybe the adjustment for the games is as big as the lifestyle. I think the lifestyle is probably different. I mean, the winters are milder than they used to be. I mean, in the 80s, I could see it, be like we had some cold winters. And I lived up, it's been about 10 years since I've lived in Michigan. And we had, couple cold winters, but I don't think I think it's just more the day-to-day routine that's going to affect those kids than it's going to be just the game. I think the game, isn't going to be. Yeah, it might be cold playing out in that weather, but man, we used to play out in the. We used to play out in the snow. When every Super Bowl we'd have this thing called the Snow Bowl that would have before the Super Bowl, and we'd be out in the plane in the snow. And man, if you're out running in that weather, you don't even care. It's not something you think about.
Well, I mean, if you grow up in Michigan and you're used to those kind of winters, but for a kid who's coming from like South Florida where he doesn't get that much cold, during the winter, to go out and play again in that sort of an environment. I mean, I wonder how much of an effect it does have on kids, especially as freshmen. Now, maybe by their sophomore and junior years, they're a little bit more acclimated to it. But I'm sure that has to be an adjustment for those guys. I've always wondered that because
too. Well, the thing is too is like you're looking at like signing periods, and the visits are going to be like Michigan's coldest weather. You're talking about like February, so people are going out there. I think they're going to be more exposed to it then, and it might be something that churns off recruits. It could, I think it very well.
I'm not saying it's going to, I'm not saying that's going to be a deterrent for kids, but I wonder, because you look at your roster, y'all do get kids from the state of Florida and stuff like that. I was just wondering how big of an adjustment you thought that would be for kids.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an adjustment. I mean, especially maybe not so much from the kids in, Florida. I mean, I think it's an adjustment because of, if you lived in Florida your whole life and you go to cold weather, I could see it, like you being miserable. My wife grew up in Ohio, and when she moved up to Michigan with me. We met in North Carolina. We moved up to Michigan for a while, and she was like, "This is cold." Like Ohio, I thought was cold, but this is cold. So I could see it. It's the upper state. I mean, it's not as bad in Ann Arbor as it is like the northern parts of the state, though. But I could see the kids from California being way worse though, because it's a complete culture shock and climate shock. In Florida and Michigan, they have a lot of the same, similarities when it comes to culture.
And that's why when I lived in North Dakota, we only have North Dakota State, and they play indoors because it's negative 40 in the winters.
Here's the thing. I'm a big Packer fan, and I've never understood why the very stadium that needs an indoor facility, an indoor stadium, they don't have one, and that is Green Bay, Wisconsin, because it is so cold during the winter. That's the one NFL stadium that really needs an indoor facility.
They like it. They like it old school. I don't know. I'm just making an assumption.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's kind of weird to me how Atlanta, has an indoor stadium, and they don't get near as amount of cold weather as
Oh no, there it's hot. Hot
I'd
in
rather be
Georgia.
hot than cold.
Well, from the talk of weather and climate change in the chat here, we have gone off the rails once again. Let's take a few moments here. Spaz had his he had about 3 minutes of his chat here. Jackson, what do you think? I know we kind of went over a little bit, but what do you guys expect? And one by one, Jackson, then Ben, Will, and then Hunter. Well, Hunter and Jackson, you guys kind of intermix, but what do you guys think or looking forward to in this upcoming week 2 matchup for your team? What are your expectations?
We're going to Raleigh. We're playing NC State. Pretty confident.
Will you immediately cut this chain of command here?
What?
I'll let you keep going. I was like, Jackson start, and then Will just like jumped in.
Well,
I don't care. Just you guys talk about your teams for a second.
Well,
I
all right.
Go.
I'll go ahead and start. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the quarterback battle between Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milroe. And let's not forget, Saban has a successful track record against his former assistants. He's 28-2. Now, will it be 29-2 or will it be 28-3? I doubt it's going to be 28-3. It's going to be 29-2. But by how much, I'll have that figured out in a few days. But because let's be real, good quarterbacks seem to give Alabama a lot of trouble. Quinn Ewers, pretty good quarterback. So do not be surprised if he's giving the Alabama Crimson Tide a lot of trouble.
Is he Johnny Manziel trouble?
I doubt it.
He stole the Heisman away from my boy Manti.
Oh man!
With that performance,
Hunter, what's your take on Alabama Texas next week?
Okay, well, so I'm a lot more confident in our secondary than I was a year ago. I think Caleb Downs did a tremendous job last week. We got Kool-Aid still back there, so I think we're good on that end. What I'm curious to see is how Milroe does with a lot better of a caliber of an opponent. Like I said earlier, I like what I've seen from him last week. The thing that I like about him is he seems to have the instincts when the pocket is collapsing to be able to get out of there. And he's naturally gifted, very, very athletic. We've seen that he can throw the ball down the field. So I expect, like I said earlier, I expect us to win. I say 34-14.
Whoa.
Well, the thing that I think we got to do a lot better this week that we didn't do. I felt at times we didn't do good against Middle Tennessee is run blocking. I feel like there was a couple times there where we weren't on track. Now Jace McClellan did get a couple of good runs off, and when Roydell got in there a few times, he got a couple. But we got to do a little bit better job of that. But I like that the game atmosphere is going to be, at night at Bryant-Denny. And that's a difficult place to play for opponents to come into. I think it'll be probably the most sold out game we've had in a long time. I think that place will be completely packed out, and I think that just makes that environment, very hostile for Texas, especially with it being a night game. So, like I said, 34-14 is my prediction. I mean, we've won national championships with worse quarterbacks than Milroe, even if he wasn't showing what he showed last week. I mean, we won a national championship with Jake Coker.
Will, what are you looking forward to from Notre Dame, North Carolina State next Saturday on ABC, 11 a.m.?
I'm going to see I feel like we're just going to roll because the running backs our running back room is just too good, and they gave up 6.2 yards a carry against UConn, and I think our front seven is a lot better than UConn's front seven. So I feel like our run will just control the game, but I also want to see our wideouts get going too, and our defense. I would like for our defense not to allow a touchdown yet, since we still haven't allowed a touchdown in our first 2 games. So yeah, just excited to see Sam play again. Like, it's such a breath of fresh air to see a top 10 quarterback playing South Bend. So
Spaz and Ben, what are you looking forward to against Texas Tech next week again?
First, I have a question. I want to ask you, Alabama guys, something. Are you guys, if you lose to Texas, will we be seeing you guys around?
Yes, you will.
Okay, Jackson. How about you, Hunter?
Yeah,
Will you be showing up?
I'm a Bama fan until I die. I've been a fan during the Mike Sheila days. I can take whatever comes my way at this point.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. If we lose to UNLV, you won't see me probably ever again.
Oh, come on.
I would not blame you if you didn't show back up. I wouldn't blame
Ben, is that
after Appalachian State? I can't take another one.
Hey Ben, if y'all lose, I want you to come back so I can roast you, and then you can go away again.
Ben,
take what's coming.
Ben, the Michigan man. Is that your word of honor?
I'm almost sure you guys won't see me for a little while. I might have to come back just to be graceful about it, but if it was a loss to UNLV, it would be rough. But
I don't think you have to worry about that though.
Yeah. So, anyways, to be serious, what I'm looking forward to in our game is just to see if how JJ is with his passes, if he's staying consistent. If he's, I want to see if he can, how close he's going to get to 87%, passing percentile like he did last game. And if he does anything between 80 and 70, I'm going to be really psyched. So let's see how he looks. That's really the only takeaway I really going to get out of it, because we should pretty much, own that game. So.
Ben and Spaz, what are you looking forward to the most from Texas Tech next Saturday on Fox?
Spaz, you can have the floor for a moment.
Hey, I gave my 2 cents already. Your turn, Ben.
I mean, that's it. After seeing what we just did, which again, granted, I said that in the post-game show, it's Florida State. That's what you should do to teams like that. I mean, and without trying, you should run the score. With seeing Texas Tech at Hawaii versus Wyoming, I'm not near as concerned. And I'll be there in person, so it'll be a little harder for me to evaluate necessarily compared to watching replays and stuff like that. So I'll have to watch the film afterwards. But I thought it would be about maybe a touchdown game, to be honest. But at this point, I'm kind of thinking we're gonna at least 14, 17-point win. I don't think Oregon's going to take it easy on Tech. I think Will Stein and Dan Lanning and that defense are tired of hearing the nonsense from the USCs, who have no defense but still won with their offense. So I think they want to prove a point. So I kind of want to see. I don't want to see a blowout, but if they blow them out, let's do it.
So, you didn't tell me, at least not me. I missed it. I didn't know you were going to be at the game. Where are you going to be sitting so we can all look for you?
I will be, it's section 18, row 9, right behind the Oregon bench.
Okay.
About the 40-yard line.
Okay, cool. We'll look for you.
And
are you going to be all?
We might also have our other, because Spaz does the co-hosting of the Oregon Live and post-game show. Our other guy, Sean, might also be there. He's working on some things. He has tickets. He just has to work on the logistics of getting to Lubbock. But he might also be there. So we'll be doing maybe some live streaming during halftime and some game updates on the Oregon channel here at the Voice of College Football. So you guys can watch for that.
Cool. That's going to be awesome. Congratulations. It'll be fun.
If we lose,
And
if we lose, I might not be on the post game and or the next week Sunday afternoon show. I might not be.
Yeah, if I get the shot, I'm looking at trying to get into Colorado tickets now. Now that they've actually won a game and it could be interesting. My oldest, who's a big Duck fanatic, he's decided that maybe we should look into some Colorado tickets. So we're going to start looking into maybe going to the Colorado game since it'll be the first conference game of the year.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
And if so, I'll be doing some living and stuff as well.
I'll talk for Tim right now since he's gone, but USC hosts Stanford, and I expect it to be a little closer. I do think USC will win, but I think Stanford might is going to throw everything they can at USC, kind of like they did, Notre Dame last year. The unbeatable Irish and stuff like that. Will's like, he's forgotten all about last year.
Yeah, I'm in a very happy mood right now after that game last.
Marshall. That was last year, though. That's a whole different.
That's a whole different hemisphere. We're in the post-Reese era.
Poor Vandy Daddy.
My friend was a
fan. I never have to worry about sellouts or high prices.
It's true. That's a guy looking at the bright side of things, man.
Their scoreboard was being held up by a crane in the wind while it's under construction. That was one of the best photos and videos I had seen. That's what it takes to play football.
It's like on the one hand, we don't win very many games, but the games are cheap.
But one thing is awesome when Vandy wins a game, especially against a ranked opponent. It is like the Super Bowl there, and that's awesome. And that's to me, that's what college football is all about. So.
I can see Vandy being Florida this year.
Hey, at least they have something to look for in basketball.
Yeah.
Or they get their first road win in the SEC in however many years against Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. I see that happening.
Ooh, damn! The cheapest ticket to Colorado next $413. Damn. Yeah, they're going fast. I bet.
I will give Nebraska fans props. They will go anywhere, and they spare no expense, even if they, if you look last year when they played in Ireland, that whole stadium was 90% Nebraska fans.
Nebraska has a diehard fan base, but when you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's not all you got. There's not a whole else going for you. I've driven through Nebraska multiple times. There's nothing there.
A lot of open space.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'd say we're done with week 1 and looking forward to week 2, but we still have a game tonight, so let's not forget Clemson at Duke, which I think could be a decent game. I don't have any lines on it or thoughts personally. I think it could be a good game. Does anyone know the line right off the top of their head on that game? I'm going to assume it's about 17-21 for Clemson.
It is Clemson minus 13.
14.
13. Okay. So it's not as bad as I thought. Okay.
Yeah, I think Clemson's going to win 38-17.
I would put money on that. I mean, I like where Clemson stands in that. I think they would by.
Darrell says Duke wins straight up.
Oh wow! Okay, I was going to say.
What's the money line?
It's funny. Darrell said that. I think it was Steve Dace that was predicting Duke to. I don't know who it was. It was one of the analysts one of the other analysts that I listened to
projected Duke to win,
and I think it was maybe Steve Dace projected that Duke could win.
See, I thought it was going to be 17-21, and I was going to say Duke covers, they lose by 10 to 14, but if it's only 13 and a half,
I think that the main concern for Clemson is wide receivers. I mean, they haven't been very productive the last year or two on that front. So I think that's probably their main concern on the offensive side of the ball.
Isn't this Clemson's first? Clemson hasn't played a game yet, right?
No, they
This is
haven't.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it's game one for both.
Game one for both. Yeah.
So you have those unknowns about each team. So that kind of makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget again. Clemson at Duke tonight. I believe it's 7 Eastern.
You mean
Maybe
tomorrow?
6. No, it's today.
Oh, it's 2 a.m.
Well, okay, yeah. Well,
It's
Yeah,
1
they
a.m.
took me-
right where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm 122, so I'm like, it's today, tonight, whatever you want to say
It's
at this
too-
point. Unless you're West Coast, then it's technically tomorrow. Okay, relax. Fast.
It's still only 11:30
relax,
here.
relax,
West Coast or
relax.
Hawaii or
Yeah. It's like relax. But it's 6 or 7 Eastern.
Well, I'll see how good of a coach Garrett Riley actually is.
Well, that's the other factor too. Yeah, you don't know if they're going to adapt to that system.
Yeah.
100%. So you don't know how that's going to go. There could be some hiccups here and there that turn into a couple turnovers, and who knows? I mean, a lot of aspects to it. So I'll be watching. I will be watching.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
any.
any Duke fans. I don't know if there's any Duke fans that come on here. I hope, and I know since I hope for our Clemson fans that Clemson wins, but
I don't think I've ever seen a Duke fan online that I'm aware of.
Fans in real life. Duke basketball fans on Twitter or X are pretty annoying. But I haven't seen a Duke football fan online.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't be surprised. Clemson by 10. That I would not be shocked by. 14 maybe, but I don't know. I mean, they could just blow them out. Who knows?
Mike
That's the fun of
Elko
it.
will have the team ready on defense for sure.
Yeah,
because he
that's
was
the fun of
good
it.
at
Oh,
Notre Dame.
man.
He was good.
Coach Elko is going to have a lot of callers during the season.
If
Well,
Freeman
gentle-
leaves, I think Elko's the guy.
He might be. If he has another good season like last season, this season, I think Duke needs to start ponying up money because otherwise he'll be gone in a couple of years.
Well, I do have to say this about Clemson, though. Give Dabo Swinney some credit. He hired an offensive coordinator, kept him for 1 year, and fired him. So, I mean, he shown that he's willing to do what's necessary to improve that side of the football.
It's true. Dabo has been very stubborn about those things over the years. We know that. Well, all right, gentlemen. We have gone on for quite a while, and we even skipped over stuff, and you guys went on your own tangent of other topics. Just
Tangents of tangents?
And I was like, you know what? You guys do what you do. Especially on a late holiday weekend night where everyone's just excited for football and especially just finishing a game. So it's like, it's a nice change. It's a nice change.
I planned on getting up at 10 a.m. for the Always Irish show. I don't know if I will.
Even Will's like, I'm going to skip that. I'll watch it back later. That's fine. That's dedication, Will. Dedication to the cause. Of some sort. I don't know. Anyways, hey, everyone, go ahead and promote yourselves really quickly. Jackson, you've been dropping links and sharing Twitter stuff out, which is appreciated, which we can do. So anyways, if you guys want your stuff out, let Jackson know, or you guys can. If you're not a mod, let us know. We can drop it for you. But Jackson, promote yourself, anything you got going on, your channel, your team, your Twitter, anything like that.
Well, I mean, if you want to see some of my takes on what I think is what's going on here and there, you can check me out on Twitter. You can also check me out on Instagram. You can also see what I have to say on Threads. You can also check out my YouTube, and you can also check out my latest episode from Friday, which was filmed Thursday, the Jacksonian, episode 10, where I talk with Athlon sports writer, Locked On Buffs host, Cardinal Country writer Kevin Borba about what we think will be going on with Stanford and Colorado going into the season. Although it's filmed on Thursday, so it was pre-recorded.
Those opinions have changed a little bit potentially.
Yeah. But, you know, I was also impressed with Stanford after their performance over Hawaii, but, you know, I'm also making sure to not to throw the cart in before the horse with some of these awesome performances.
You do all your predictions on your YouTube channel, though? Or do you
No,
do
I
them
did
all-
I do my predictions on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just like I'm gonna wait a little bit on my predictions because I mean there's a lot of injuries. There's a little here, a little there. Who knows what's going on with each team?
That sounds good. Please, everyone, check out Jackson, all the material he's doing, because it sounds like he's getting in deep with some of this stuff. Lesser Ben. I mean Michigan Ben. Sorry.
So then you mean the greater Ben?
No.
All right. So, anyways, you're gonna only find me here. I'm gonna take this time to promote what you're doing here for the College Football After Dark. The only way you can get on the show is by becoming a Patreon member and maybe a YouTube member. I'm not sure. We'll know that for sure later.
I'll double check that. Yeah.
Okay. And then yeah, and as this panel starts getting filled up as we get more meaningful games. And so get in early so you can get on the panel if you want to do this. It's a lot of fun. We have a great time doing it, and if it's something you want to do, join the Patreon. And we have watch parties that are on the Discord channel throughout the season. And we had one last week. Was a lot of fun. Mark was doing some commentary. It was a good time, and you can only get that on this. You can only get that on the Discord. So that's what I'm throwing. That's how I started getting on the panel, and I've had fun time doing it. And if you want to get me out of the panel, the only way to do that is to get on the panel. So I can't be here.
No, we don't need any more Michigan people, though. I'm kidding. But yeah, the link is in the banner below, as well as in the description of the video. You click it, you sign up, you get
Please,
a lot of perks.
no more Harbaugh lovers.
No more khakis. It's in the description of the video. Go click it, join Mark on Patreon. Yeah, exactly. $5 a month gives you picks, access, reviews. You guys just did one earlier, I believe. Yeah, Will, wasn't it you and John Dianamo did the Rutgers Northwestern watch party game together? I saw it later and I was like, I'm not that interested. I just decided not to join because it was Rutgers.
Yeah, the game wasn't very interesting.
They have those spots on TikTok where if you're going through the live videos, you press on it, it could say not interested. That's where you would hit that button. Oh, yeah, not interested in that one. Maybe next week.
Removed from my feed.
Yeah, removed from the feed.
Will, where can everyone find you? What you got going on?
I'll eventually post something to my YouTube channel. I've been trying to, but personal life's been busy. But I'm gonna do a little recap. I'll do a recap of the first two games and a preview. I also do stuff with a show with Buckeye Mike, Inside the Irish, where you just ask me Notre Dame questions and I answer them. So that's chill. Notre Dame postgame show. That's a lot of fun. It'll be fun to have some opposition fans pop in too. That'll be fun. And yeah, life's good. Notre Dame's winning. BK lost. My soccer team won today too against a rival. So yeah,
Sweet.
That's so great. Yeah,
it's a good day to be a Notre Dame fan then.
Yeah.
Spaz, I know you have a Twitter now and a TikTok. You said, I think.
Yeah, I've got TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Everything's under my Rocky Classic. So if you just look up Rocky Classic on Twitter, you'll X, whatever the hell he calls it. You could find me there on just about everything.
Hey Jackson, I think you dropped it once. Do you want to drop that one? Do you have that available to drop one more time? I don't in front of me. Oh no, that's not it. I should have pulled. Oh, there it is. I got it. I see the link. I'm going to drop that link for you right now here in the chat as Mark, unfortunately, because I have somebody else copy pasting the other one. But there is Spaz right there. There's his Twitter, and that will give you the name, so you can find him also, as he said, on TikTok and other social media. And Hunter, the other Alabama fan, who's been very vocal tonight about how good Alabama is. Where can people find you and what you got going on?
Yeah, I just want to promote, the Voice of College Football here on YouTube and this show. This is something I look forward to every year, and I'm grateful for what Mark provides us as college football fans and all the channels that he has. So everybody just subscribe to the Voice of College Football here on YouTube and all the other shows that Mark has, and I just appreciate everything that Mark and all y'all guys do.
Sounds good, and we appreciate that. Mark does too, and that's it.
Hook 'em horns.
We're here as a community. This is what we do. That's why we're up this late. Like anyone left in the chat right now, which there's still 70 people, it says. And it was way higher earlier, so some people called in tonight. They were like, I've been watching football all day. It's a holiday weekend. I got to recover on Monday before work on Tuesday. Understood. So we appreciate everyone being here. As usual, I'm Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam here on YouTube. My Twitter is below my name there in the little, whatever you want to call it, the sub box or whatever people want to call that. I'm dropping my YouTube channel here in the chat, as well as there's links there to our Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. It's pretty easy to find. You'll see my lovely face. Not really. It'll be my avatar, but you'll get the point. It's all the same avatar. So once again, we appreciate you guys because week 1 is almost at a close. We have Clemson at Duke, and then we're going to hit hard with week 2 because there's, as we discussed, a lot of good games. So as usual, make sure to hit that like. Please subscribe if you're new here. You'll find your team channel somewhere or a conference like the SEC or Big Ten channels. Join the Patreon under Mark Rogers, and you can join in the Discord as well as then into the panel here. But we appreciate you guys always for tuning in. And until next Sunday, I'll be back from a little bit then. Until next Sunday, we will see you following week 2. Have a good night, everyone.